right, you always track down and you could really understand whether there is a lack of promotion, and that leader has been with you for many, many years. So it's really time basically to look at him. And basically, the AI will give you basically a lot of patterns related to his profile, related basically to his portfolio to get to understand what is really, making him grow in his career with a clear career path. And in my own opinion, this is basically a great evolution in the AI, in the world of HR that makes us really maintain great recruitment, maintain great onboarding, maintain basically great retention related to our people, and most importantly, offering a great employee experience. While in the past, just to get to solve 5, 6 problems, it will take you, a few days. But right now, you have your AI chatbot well settled and could answer basically quite a lot of questions to your team members. So by that, basically, your role as an HR leader will be really basically for the intricate and the delicate problems and issues to solve. Because it is very, very important to mention that while AI does all this, it is really important that we keep the human part. We keep ourselves to take the final decision. And this is basically my message to you today, HR leaders. It's great to use the AI HR, but let's use it with wisdom. Let's use it in a very smart way. Let's put our push and put our identity in there. And most importantly, let's keep ourselves to take final decisions. AI can't take the decision. Yes, it's great to make the AI smarter, but it is greater to keep our organizations human. We have always to remain human for our people. We have always to be there and tackle the most important subjects. In a way, I would basically conclude what I have mentioned by stating that let's make the AI as a fast digital assistant, an assistant that extends support, but that does not eradicate our identity. Our identity should be there. Our achievements should be there. We are the one to lead. Let's not replace ourselves by AI. There is always a way, and there are always realms for us basically to have jobs in a smart way with evolution, but let's not eradicate ourselves. AI does not replace human. AI helps us, support us, make us grow, make a great evolution. So with this, basically, my message today, I'm really honored to be part of the WeInHR conference, ready for the questions. And this is basically a great congratulations for the panel, well-selected panel. I am incuridating basically to see their ideas, and it's a great day for me to learn from them.
Can we give him a round of applause?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here once again, Dr. Moner. Do we have any questions for Dr. Moner? Something that I really love that you talked about is just the importance of critical thinking, because we keep using AI. The AI keeps learning, and we need to be able to use our own human judgment and that critical thinking. So I love how you talked about how we shouldn't just, throw that away. We need to be very intentional about preserving that part, because one thing that I've been seeing a lot, even in some of the research papers that I have read, is that AI is going to keep learning a lot of skills. So we need to also be very intentional about learning. Learning now has to become a real lifelong skill. So unlike in the past where you just, have a job title. So for example, you are let me use a financial analyst, right? And you have this beautiful JD like we usually do. We have the JD that keep that role honest. Okay, these are the list of skills and things that you're going to be doing. You would notice very soon that AI is able to do a bulk of that work. So probably maybe 50 to 60% of that work. So the question would then be, what would that role look like? Do you understand? What would that job look like? So we need to be intentional about focusing on skills. So the real question would then be, how do you describe yourself if they were to ask you, what do you do? what value do you bring to the table? It would then be beyond just, oh, I'm a HR manager or I'm a comp and ben specialist. You would need to be able to really describe yourself based on the unique skills that you offer and the unique value that you bring into the organization. So I really love that. And I feel like AI should be something that we layer on, not something that we just, throw away all our human judgment and critical thinking. So thank you so much, Dr. Monir.
Well,
Are there any
exactly. Well,
questions?
just to add on what we,
Yeah,
to what you have said, basically, it's like
yeah,
basically what the people do is just generate, on a very generic things. But by the
right.
end, before you generate, think about your company culture fit. Think about the competencies of the people you are generating this, whatever GD for. Think about their
Mhm.
identity. Think about their limitations and think also about their strengths and the ways of improvement. If you put all this, fuse all this basically, and you do a proper prompt engineering, for sure, you're going to have a great customized product.
Absolutely. Thank you so much once again. Can we clap
It's my pleasure.
for Dr. Monir as we move very quickly to the panel session for today? Please, if you have any questions, feel free to drop in the chats. I would make sure to take them. Let me just check the chats quickly. Okay, so they're just reactions. Thank you so much. Okay, there's a question here for you. It says, what's new on the HR evolution? Okay, it's a comment. Is the inclusion of AI into HR or HR into AI. Either angle you are looking at it, flexible work arrangement is another evolution in HR. More so, AI has also taken over recruitment. No gainsaying about this. Just recently, I came across AI on recruitment that does everything in recruitment from start to finish. Amazing. Thank you so much, um, Olatokumbo. Let me see if there's any more. Okay, just I mean, even speak to I love that people are actually, conversing, to what Olatukumbo said as well. I feel like it would take some time for AI to really be able to do the work end to end in a workflow. Right now, even if you try to do it, there will be some errors. And even with the recruitment example that Olatokunbo just gave, there is still that place for human judgment. Do you see what I mean? So what I think would happen based on just some of the signals is that AI would be able to give you some recommendations. But then you need to be able to think through those recommendations and look at your own unique use case to be able to determine if that thing is actually valid or not. So I love that even, the second panel we'll be talking about how performance is even going to be judged
Yes.
going forward. Because by the time HR is doing, AI is doing about 60% of your work. And at that time, it will be expected that AI is able to do certain aspects of that work. The question then is, what are we going to be appraising? Right? Are we going to be appraising just how the work was done or the outcomes and how the decisions were made? So anyway, that's going to be another interesting conversation. Don't let me jump ahead of myself. So thank
Can
you
I
so
can I
much.
add something? Can I
Yes,
add
sir.
something related to this in a very quick
Yes.
way? What is really amazing, this will be surprising for everyone. Let's say, for example, you just relate yourself to a complete system in recruitment and you give the AI two finalists, okay, or two CVs. Which one is slightly higher in skills? So
Mm,
automatically the AI will choose the one higher in skills. But believe
right.
me, sometimes the one even with lower skills. But when doing a proper interview, for you as a leader, you could notice that this person will grow with your company based on your culture fit, based on the mode and the competencies that you have inside your company. I can't detect
Absolutely.
this. So still, the emotional side and the emotional intelligence is always there. AI will never replace it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you once again. Thank you once again. Okay, someone says, you are Moroccan who works as an HR leader in Egypt. How have you been able to interpret their local laws in their place? This is just by the side. So I don't know if you want to take that
No, it's so
question.
fine. It's fine. Well, actually, before Egypt, I worked in UAE, I worked in Qatar, I worked in Saudi Arabia. So as an HR, I learned basically something very important. When you go to a country, learn by heart the labor law, learn the traditions and customs, respect them, have them basically and add them to whatever your experience is, and you'll be successful. What is really
Okay.
important is that we don't change the law of the country. We have to go with the law of the country. We have
Mm.
basically to dig in. Like same in Egypt, they have their law, and which I respect 100% as far as I have accepted to work over here. I have to go with it and try basically, to things
Mm.
improve.
Amazing. Thank you once again. So we will just move on very quickly to the panel discussion, right? So for the very first panel, we're going to be discussing future-proofing the HR profession in the age of AI. And I'm so happy to call up our panel speakers. I can see that they're already here. Abisola Asha, Mr. Adeniyi Adejola. We also have Mr. Gbenga Tutoye. We have Miss Sarah as well. Can we just, give them a very, very warm welcome as I call them up? Yes, so welcome to this panel discussion. Please, you can, turn on your cameras now. And please let me know if you need any help with your mics. Are we good?
Yes, I am.
Yep, I'm good.
I'm good as
Okay,
well.
let me just, okay. Okay. I think I'm just waiting for, okay, let me just do this. Good. All right. Thank you everyone for being here. I think we're just expecting one more person. Okay. All right. Sorry, let me just help our last
Actually, I'm here.
speaker
I see
joining.
you're looking for me.
Okay. I think we'll just start and then we would assist our last panelists to join in the discussion. All right, so thank you once again for being here. We're jumping into the topic, future-proofing the HR profession in the age of AI. And I think the very first question I just want to throw to the panelists, I'm sure they're not expecting this. Just introduce yourself to us in 30 seconds. And you can tell us something funny about you so that, the audience gets to, have a feel of you before we get into the tick or the meat of the discussion. So, Abby, you can go first, and then Miss Sarah, and then Mr. Nee, and then Mr. Gbenga. Over to
Hi,
you.
everyone. Good morning. I'm joining you from the US. It's 6:27 a.m. I'm excited to wake up early and spend my Saturday with you all. I'm so my background is probably a bit different from the rest of the panelists. I don't come from an HR background. I'm an AI strategist. I've been building technology for the best part of the last 20 years, and I help organizations make sense of how to get return on investment on artificial intelligence. And I also help professionals reckon with how to upskill themselves to be able to be competitive even in the age of AI.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And my name is Sarah Gasheru. I'm sitting in Nairobi, Kenya. It's nice to meet you all. And it's also great to be sitting in this space where I'm going to be learning from my fellow HR colleagues and also the contributors who are sitting in this meeting. I'm a global director in people management, currently working for Seed Global Health. I've managed HR in many spaces in Africa, in Europe, UK, US, and I'm so happy actually to be seeing a lot of Nigerian friends and people from Morocco and others. So a good topic for today, and looking forward to learn from the other panelists as I also make my own contribution. And I was very excited to hear the statement from Toby about AI will not be taking our jobs. It will only augment our work, but not take our jobs. And we'll hear more about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. E, please go ahead.
I think his mic is muted.
No, it's
Confirm you can hear me now.
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. Good day, everyone. Be it good morning or good afternoon, wherever you may be. Speaking from Abuja, FCT, Nigeria. My name is Adeni Adejola. You can call me Nee. Over 2 decades experience across HR in multinational and local companies. Nestle, Globalcom, Coca-Cola, Hellenic Bottling Company, UAC, and recently Abuja Electricity Distribution Company. We cover 3 states here in the North Central, Kogi, Nasarawa, and Niger. And of course, we are here headquartered in Abuja FCT. I'm really delighted to be here today, not just to be a member of the panel that will be speaking to the topic, on the table, but to learn, from, co-panelists, both at this panel 1 and the panel 2. I'm really so much fascinated by Dr. Muni's keynote speaker. I think he captured, the whole essence of the topic of today. And I believe that the rest of us, we can just, go and sleep for the rest of the session. Yeah, so Oluwatobi, congratulations to you and your team in WeInHR. And I think this is a big thing. The conversation, it's started, and it will just continue, and then we'll escalate from here, to something, more strategic, as it were. So thank you, everyone, all the audience, and like I said, we're all here to learn, from one another.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Agbenga.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. And I really just can't wait to learn and maybe raise a few valid questions. My approach to today's session is not necessarily to come and tell us what we should start doing, but perhaps what we can start thinking about as professionals. To be honest, I mean, a lot of us are still experimenting. And that's why I was really excited about the diversity of the panel pool. Abisola, it's great to know you're not an HR person. And you come from that pure, let me say, technology / business standpoint. So you see the end of what we're doing, and I think that's valuable. But I also want to, I want to quickly say this ahead to Sarah. We know what's going on in Kenya, and we hope you're safe, and we really just wish you the best. And for me, that's the premise for what we're trying to talk about. And even if you consider the kind of sector that NII is from, because I think the way we look at AI and its impact, it's rather too elementary. And in most cases, when we look at real manufacturing or heavy duty industries like power generation that NII is in, sometimes it's difficult for us to wrap our heads around how they can use AI and the relevance of AI to what they're trying to do. And so for me, it's great to be here. I have a very normal profile. Started out in consulting. I'd have the opportunity of seeing people implications across different industries. And so I'm ready for the questions. I'm ready for the engagements. And thank you, Toby, for having me here.
All right, thank you so much once again. So the very first question, and I will throw that question to Abisola, and then any of the panelists can also, jump in. If you had to predict one radical change that AI would bring to the HR profession in the next, say, 8 to 10 years, what would that be?
8 to 10 years would be a long time. I thought it would be a shorter horizon. But I do think that in the next decade, HR professionals would be able to, so maybe today, for example, they will be able to multiply their capacity and their productivity over the next decade. I think it's going to look very different from what it looks like today. I do think you may have leaner teams. However, you would also, because there will be so much automation of everything, not just in HR, but everywhere, the value of human judgment is now going to be at a premium because everybody's going to now need it because there's so much automation everywhere.
If I could just add a thought to that, I was sort of waiting for Toby to call out names.
Yeah.
So I agree with Bisola. I don't think we have such long-term horizon. We don't have that luxury at all. I think two things will happen. One is that the profession or the nomenclature around the profession itself will change. So I, for one, I know it's slightly controversial. I've been advocating that HR people should stop or reduce reading just HR books and taking HR roles for a while. Advocating that HR folks should do more in strategy, project management, and perhaps finance, because I think what we will be required to do as organizations evolve will change very rapidly. And if we just sit within that box of being HR people alone, we might have challenges. As I sit here, for instance, I have a brief in my hand of a brand and marketing comms agency that is setting up as an AI first company, right? And they're asking us to provide support for that. So you're going to have a lot more of that. So the HR profession, in terms of the demands that will come on us, yes, I agree with Priscilla. We will run leaner teams, we will run leaner organizations. And so I was speaking with a senior friend 2 weeks ago, and I told her, she was saying that she thinks that the HR role and the role of, say, head of customer experience will evolve and be one. And I was like, I'm tilting more towards the finance function, that if HR sits on human resources and finance people sit on perhaps all other resources within the business, and people cost is about 40 to 60% of what finance people are dealing with, that coming together may mean that more HR people are going to evolve to become COOs and not necessarily just people managers. So what we are asked to come and do as our organizations become leaner and leaner will change. So you are not looking at payroll, you are looking at resources across the organization. You are not looking at just OD from a talent development standpoint, but you're looking at how to structure the entire organization. You are not looking at recruitment alone because you are bringing people and taking them out, but you are looking at managing contingent workforce that are just like a pool of AI agents, and they are not necessarily sitting on your org structure. So that's my thinking, and we definitely don't have 10 years, in my opinion. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to add on that, so just to add on that, and picking from what Abisola has said, yes, we are seeing AI transform how we deliver people practices within the workplace. But one thing is going to remain not changing, the human component. So the more we shift how we offer the people programs, the people procedures, and everything to be more centered human, the more we are actually going to make the evolution attractive and remain relevant. Because I know there is the hype of just trying to make sure, whether it is recruitment, whether it is performance management, automation is really a side thing. We love it. It makes the processes easier. it makes them robust. But there's also the human component, which you are saying that will never change. So the shift now should be more towards providing more human-centered HR management than actually more automation, because that will never change. It will never be taken away by HR and by AI. When I was hearing Mona speak and talking about how recruitment is really becoming so robust because of AI, there is one fundamental thing that doesn't change. And when you talk to any new hire, when you ask them, what was the experience from the time we started recruiting you to onboarding you to now when you're a new candidate? Their experience is not underpinned on the processes that were automated. It's actually more underpinned on the human connection that was created during the recruitment process. Because they will remember more, not the button that they clicked to be able to move from one stage to another. They remember more the meeting they had with the people person, the meeting they had with the manager, the coffee session that they had with someone who was boarding them into the organization, the culture questions that they were asked. So anything that made them connect with the people more and the organization more is what they will remember more than the systems that meant them to be with the organization. So for me, I'm looking at it more from, we shift and make a lot of what we deliver human, because that is only the thing that will remain constant and more relevant. Issues about mental wellness, AI can give us options on how to manage it, but it will not manage it, and many things, like when you are talking about performance management, there is a second session which is coming. AI will tell you how to manage maybe things like PIP, but there are many contexts which are related to the human side that will never be done by AI. So that's my contribution for now. Let's shift now, take more intentional shift from how we deliver people management, just beside automation, to actually making it more human-centered.
Thank you very, very much. Okay, so I
I don't
think
know if I can
the
go,
next question I'd like to
if I can
ask
have my
is,
voice.
what are the top 3 skills that you think that we should be paying attention to now as a profession, in order for us to stay relevant? Like, what are those skills based on what you can predict today? Because I'm sure it's going to change in another, say, 1 to 2 years. But based on what we know today, what are some of the skills that you think that we should be paying attention to? Who would like to take that question? Mr. Nee?
I can go fast. I can go and
Okay.
just quickly so that others, yeah. So if we are talking about change, one of the skills really which we must upskill ourselves is change itself. Because we can only manage change if we are very apt on how to manage change. And managing change will come with a lot of components, the intertwine between the human and the systems, and how we leverage both of them to actually produce the best. So skills are related to change management will actually have to be come so relevant, not just to us as people leaders, but even to the employees themselves, because we are going through an evolution, and the only way to actually manage that evolution successfully is have to getting good skills on how to navigate the change itself.
Okay, please confirm you can hear me. I think I'm having issue with my audio. Oluwatobi, yeah, okay, thank you, Abisola. All right, so adding my voice to the very first question that you asked, yeah, I want to say that about 8 to 10 years, that's too far. And then also saw in the comment section where somebody said 3 to 5 years. So AI, it's not about the project management that has a start date and then go live date. Okay, yeah. AI, today, as come to stay. We are not experimenting AI anymore. AI is already embedded in what we do day to day in human resources. Dr. Muni, again, he talked, around what we use AI to do today in area of recruitment, in CV screening, in employee, what's it called, matching candidates, with the profile of the job and all of the things like that. So it is not about project management that has a goal life of 8 to 10 years or 3 to 5 years. AI is here. And I just wanted to say that. Now, to the question you asked about the competencies or skills that are required for us to be future ready. Yes, okay. This is, again, another, concept that, we as HR, we have to be future ready, in the area of being digital and AI, literate, okay? Understanding the AI tools, the AI agents, and the technologies that, support and augment what we as humans do today. And then another area I'd like us to look at in terms of competency that we must bring on board in order for us to be future ready is around strategy thinking. Okay, aligning people's strategy with business goals and ensuring that the workforce planning, the strategic workforce planning (SWP), is done with agility. All right. Another aspect is what Sarah has talked about so much is around human-centered leadership. So AI is not going to replace human. Okay, but human is going to. I mean, AI. In my own word, I say is innovation or technology enabled, but human led. Okay, so we are still going to have a lot, of human intervention. Okay, and therefore we must develop that human-centered leadership skill, in the area of inclusive leadership, coaching, and relationship building. In my world, I have passed through, a unionized environment, from my days in manufacturing, food and beverage, to oil and gas, and now to power distribution. And therefore, AI will not sit with me and the unions, on the table where I need to discuss on condition of service of workers. So I still need to put human judgment, accountability, ownership in all of this. So AI will not, come to replace us as humans. And however, as HR, we must develop all of these skills that will make us relevant. Another point I'd like to raise is around analytical skills. So as HR, as professionals, we must begin to now, beyond what we've been doing before, begin to, AI will help to, generate, it will help to process data, but how are we interpreting? How are we, decomposing all of what AI have been able to do and apply, to the business? And the measuring employee experience, AI will not do that, okay? And of course, in evidence-based decision making, if I sit in a DC today, AI will not tell me whether you are guilty or not guilty. I still have, that human intelligence, to determine based on the, condition of service to say, hey, young man or young lady, you have, violated this so section of the, of the code of conduct, and therefore you are liable to this. And that AI will not do that for me. So I just wanted to put it out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Abby, you want to
Yeah,
go?
I think I just wanted to just layer on one thing, because as we've talked about the things that AI will not do, the things that AI will also do in many of these contexts is also critical for all HR professionals to be aware of. So, for example, if you look at a situation where you're negotiating on behalf of union workers, to be able to quickly analyze all the issues, all the situations, you could spend weeks reading a lot of documentation, making sense of it, or you could use an AI tool to quickly synthesize what the key points are, where your negotiation is strong, where there may be weaknesses, how they may come back. So you come up to that conversation and negotiation table a lot readier and with the facts, at your fingertips, so it can empower those HR leaders in those types of situations. And then beyond that, when you look at HR leaders in a C-suite conversation about AI transformation, it's important that the HR leaders are able to contribute to the conversation and even challenge vendors' claims about their recruitment AI. Challenge whether there's bias in some of the tools that are coming because you are AI literate. And then if you're building L&D strategy, learning and development, that accounts for the skills that AI will make, redundant, what's new skills need to be available, and how are you shaping or reshaping some of those strategies that will then make other skills more valuable? That's the standard that I believe the HR profession needs to start to build towards is not just looking at what AI will do versus what the profession will not do, but how will my role, how will my profession, how I engage as an HR professional change? We need to look at this at the level of how the internet was. There was a time that there was no internet, whether many of us believe it or not. There was a time that when we applied for jobs, or when people applied for jobs, they didn't apply to me. They had to all apply on paper, but now they have to fill out forms. So everything has changed. It's all digital. So the question is, how is AI going to shift this for us? Yes, we're still going to be here. The AI is only as smart as the intelligence of the humans behind it, right? So at the end of the day, it's just important that we understand our role in it so that we start to see how it empowers and accelerates and optimizes our work.
Thank you so much, Abby. Mr. Gbenga?
I mean, I'm loving this conversation already, and I hope we really don't go past our time frame. I'll make it simple because I know that, I mean, there are almost 200 people here, and I will probably repeat a number of things because I would like it to really stick such that when people listen, it can be easier for them. What I'm advocating for is not what 3, 4, 5 skills we need to go and take. There's been fantastic contributions, but I'm just going to call for 2 things. One is, please, before we jump into because if you're not careful now, something is going to repeat itself where people then start teaching or selling courses like AI recruitment, AI-based workforce planning, and we get very granular with the activity and the skill. First thing is, HR folks, everybody listening here, I beg of you, shift your focus to understanding the business. Let's start being business executives, because when we do that, before your CEO or MD calls you, you are the one saying, this is the impact of HR. And when we say impact, it's not necessarily negative. It's first and foremost positive. This is the impact on the business that I now work in. This business will shift in another 5 years. And this is how our business needs to prepare itself. This is how our business needs to pilot. This is what strategy we now need to start employing. And there are a ton of businesses that needs to start doing that. And if we do that first, it will solve that problem of, AI will not, in quotes, negatively impact all the jobs, say, in manufacturing. AI will not impact the need for artisans that are laying cables all over Africa, because there's also this big conversation around AI and its impact on job creation in Europe and America. And if you look at across Africa, there's still a lot to do in heavy production manufacturing sectors where there's still a lot of need for human beings to be on the job. So first and foremost, please, let's get out of the HR box and really and truly understand the businesses that we work in. And if we do that and we get our minds out of the core HR function, our mind should open up a bit and then we can accommodate more. That's one. The second is technology, because, and thank you, Toby, there was the internet, but AI is a big platform shift on everything that search and, in quote, the internet represented. If we don't start being technology executives and look at the big technology play, and we're just looking at AI as a subset, we are going to miss it yet again. Because guess what? Most of us, when we still look at technology, the best we do is our own HR systems. So when we get into the C-suite conversations, or we are talking to technology people and they need us to help with recruitment, with planning, with remuneration, we are lost. And I think we're doing the same thing again, where we are just narrowing on AI. How do I do prompt engineering and things like that? No, that's not the issue. If we don't understand the bigger play with technology and how big technology companies themselves are changing and how that impact is affecting everything we do as a country or as a continent or the entire world, we're going to be so narrow and then we'll miss it. So please, the skill is important, but the shift in mindset on how business is changing and how technology is not the same again should be the foundation that we are now layering everything on. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and the last point I want to add, Toby, is I think as we continue to leverage AI, we also need to build our skills on actually how to use it responsibly. Because there is the level of, yes, you use technology, but how much are you designing the information you are generating from that technology to actually be meaningful to your context, but at the same time actually create relevance to your own situation. Many are the times where we just go into AI, it generates us information, but it's actually maybe not relevant to our own situation. It is not contextualized to our own issues. It doesn't speak even into the solutions when we are looking for. So how much do we use our own human intelligence to actually use the information we are generating from AI to contextualize issues, to create discernments in terms of, is it relevant? Is it even real? You can go to AI, and AI for sure will give you information. And sometimes, honestly, some of the things which exist on internet or through AI data, they are not even real. And at the so that originality must still be there as we continue to leverage on AI. So we are not just going into a dark cloud where we forget that we are here, we're in this space because we came from somewhere. We came with originality on how we understand HR. We have trained professionals, and then just go into data and technology and just use it the way it is coming. No, there must be very intentional, responsible use of AI so that it is just going to augment what we are doing. We maintain our originality on what we are going to deliver. And most important, we create relevance and contextualize that to our own issues.
Thank you so much for that. And I really love how the different panelists, attacked the question, because I feel like one person talked about, the place of human judgment. That person is talking about how we need to also focus on the business as well. And, even with Miss Sarah, she's talking about how can we ensure that we're even being ethical as we use AI. So let me just throw a question. This question is my own question, right? So should we should we still be interested in the traditional HR qualifications that we have today? I mean, for real, should somebody still be doing a master's in HR today? And I know that we may not have all the answers, and I'm not throwing you under the bus, but I want to hear from you. I mean, there's so many HR qualifications, right? I'm not going to call anyone particularly so they don't come for us. But should we be interested in doing this now, or are there other things that we should be paying attention to?
So I'll just bite that
Who
one.
would like to go?
I'll start. I don't want to, but will Mr. Nee like to start?
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you,
go ahead, sir.
Abisola. Okay, so I hope you are not addressing this to me because I've got a couple of master's degrees, so and I'm asking myself
No,
whether
I also have 2 masters. It's okay. Well, you're in good company.
okay, all right. Okay, I think, but the context is very, instructive. Thank you, Oluwatobi, for this. Now, should we then jettison the idea of, developing ourselves, up onto PGD or a master's or even PhD in human resources or personnel and things like that? I think that is not the case here. What AI has come to do, is to change the dynamics. It's about adaptation. It's about, what you can, learn out of, what the curriculum, the course outline and all of that is, and adapt that into an AI-enabled environment. So now to say that, okay, should we then have master's degree in AI HR or PhD in I think gas smiling there. No, not at all. Yeah, so and our institutions, whether at university level or college level, they should now begin to, design curriculum. They should now begin to design courses, that center around the use and adaptation of HR. As much as we are here today, the future of work, is not human or AI. Let's get it very clearly. It's how we choose to design both of them. It is that balance that we're able to, create between human and AI. It is not okay, Yeah, if you look behind me, you have my screen. I mean, my background is say the 70-30 workforce model. What does that mean? We're talking about the 70% of the activity that we do today, could be, transferred to AI agents, could be performed much faster, more efficiently, to derive, that business result. Whereas the human is still there, the 30% will still be human. So whichever way you look at it, our courses, whether at master's level or PhD level or even professional certification, should now begin to see, okay, how can we embed, AI into AI skills and competencies into our curriculum for, our graduates, to go home with this and then go and apply them in their respective organization. I think, we can add more voice. So, Bisola,
Yes,
and there's
thank you
there's
so
one
much.
context I would like us to talk about, if it is, time still permits. So is around AI governance, is around the ethical topic around AI. Maybe Oluwatobi will
Will
permit
you
us to
take us there
discuss that
next?
later.
So
Thank you.
thank you for starting the conversation, Mr. Nii. So the way I see it is, first of all, every, every degree worth its weight is probably already changing, if not already changed, to infuse either the use of AI, the ability to build AI. I see HR professionals getting to the point where some of them are going to be so tech savvy that they are the ones coming up with the new solutions of what should be built for the profession. So it will not be you waiting for a technologist to build for you. Now you understand it enough to be part of the building. I do think the more advanced degrees like the PhDs might become more critical, because if we look at AI, underneath AI is data. Data and research is what is the backbone of AI. So I do think those very advanced niche degrees that some of us thought were for the efficos, to use Nigerian parlance, we will start to have more efficos because you need those really smart people to keep advancing the AI. So that's why at the end of the day, our human intelligence is the backbone of this thing we're calling artificial. It's built off of us. So the more we continue to advance our intelligence, the smarter it gets. If we get dumber, it gets dumber.
Okay.
I,
Anybody
allow
else?
me, please, if you don't mind. And I think I suggested what my answer would be already. Please, HR folks. Okay, two things. I've been attacked for this for a long time because at some point I was director for membership at the Nigerian Association, CIPM. So I was in charge of getting HR people to be certified, and learn more and all of that. But I will always still advocate that. So let's understand the basics. The body of knowledge behind every profession would never go away, regardless of the technology intervention, or else we'll just make mistakes. I mean, nobody will ask a surgeon not to go through whatever the years of knowledge it is to understand medicine, understand human body. That's foundational. We must never get to a point where we excuse that away. That's one. Two, all my life I've dealt with professionals who want to run away from that rigor of foundational knowledge, of really understanding and looking for the faster way out to get certification. So to those people, I say to you, without, forgive me, Toby, without any apologies, certifications do not confer competence.
Right.
Certifications do not it does not transfer it to you, it does not add it to you. Some will argue that certifications certify that you have the knowledge, but it does not give you competence. So stop running away from the body of knowledge, go through the rigor, understand because that's what helps you have that foundation to now get into the art or the science of it, right? And that's important. So should we do more certifications? Honest opinion, do more certifications outside of HR. Get exposed to strategy, business, technology. Toby just told us, please go let data. I don't know who else sits on so much data in the average organization than HR folks, legal folks, and finance folks. But the problem is not even because I can see some questions around, so which tool? So we started, before we know it, we start going after the tools. These tools don't do enough, that tools don't do enough. And if you talk to the technology folks who built those tools, they will tell you for free the HR folks are not using those tools well enough. Because guess what? Those guys who sold you the tools, when they were presenting, you also didn't come to the room with enough arguments to take them through, because they just got away. You were just looking for, as a recruiter, you were like, okay, which tool will help me get more CVs pass through? And that's what you were looking at, because you didn't have the body of knowledge to be in that room and engage another technology person on the other side. And that's because HR folks are not learning these other things about the organization. So in simple terms, very directly, reduce your chase of HR certifications, increase your chase of other knowledge in other critical areas of the business, or else if you have the technology and you have the HR tool, you will struggle. Thank you.
Can we just breathe in and breathe out? I think that was such a beautiful way to wrap up that conversation. I'm looking at the time, so I'll just run along very, very quickly. We've been talking a lot about, HR and AI and things that, we can delegate to AI, but I want us to just step back a bit and talk about some things that we shouldn't even think about delegating to AI, right? Because that also exists. So I don't know how we want to take that again. I don't know, Mr. Gbenga, you want to go first? But let's talk about what are certain HR decisions that should never be delegated to AI, no matter how advanced it becomes.
Human judgment. Human judgment. You will have the data, you will have the interpretation. And Toby, please tell us more to do in that. Bisola, tell us more to do. The resources will get better. And please, I also want to advocate, let's stop looking at AI alone from generative AI. And thank you, Mr. Nee. There's the whole world of AI agents that can do the work, not give you input to do the work. They will do the work, right? But you would then have the responsibility of human judgment of designing the workflows or taking the work they've done and finalize it. So in my opinion, very quickly, because I'm getting too excited and I'll be talking too much. Human judgment will not be taken away from HR.
Completely agree.
Yeah, and as okay.
Okay, Sarah, after you. Sarah, after you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so for me, I look at it from the point of there's actually a lot that I cannot be able to do, and some very fundamental processes for any organization. When you look at things like culture, how do we build organizational culture? We talk about trust, we talk about empathy, we talk about shared values, belonging, authentic relationships. All these things can never be built by AI. They still remain us to build them. So there's that component that really makes the workplace or relationships super exciting, which maybe you can get information on how to build it, but the actual build lies with human connections and lies with the feelings. It lies with how you show up. We are now well-being is a big topic at the workplace. Psychological safety is a big topic at the workplace. AI will never be able to show that empathy. It will never be able to manage human crisis that is happening somewhere. It can give you points on how to respond, but it can't execute what is needed to be done. So for me, when I look at every part of every function of the entire employee life cycle, there is still some component that is so safeguarded outside AI. Even when you talk about learning, we can make use of the LMSs and learn through automation and everything. But there's the actual coaching, there's the actual like talking to people and telling them how things are supposed to be done. AI is not going to replace that, So, and like I said about recruitment, and many other processes, I was talking about performance management. There is the actual automation process that can be done through the click of a button. But the one-on-one conversation cannot be done through AI. Any personal issues employees are going through can never be done through AI. an employee who is struggling with performance, it's only through the human connection that you can be able to help them to overcome that challenge. So for me, I look at every piece of the employee life cycle. There's still a portion that is wholly safeguarded and can never be managed by AI.
Perfect. And I just to layer on that, there's several things that, can never be delegated to AI. So terminations, difficult conversations. And we already talked about culture, equity and bias adjudication, whistleblower and investigations, even succession planning and leadership development judgments. I mean, there's no AI that can figure that out. And when people are in crisis and you're dealing with grief, AI can't do that for you. And when you're trying to structure your organization and create organizational design, it can suggest based on things that already exist. But if you're creating something new or you're creating something in a hybrid format that hasn't quite been done in that setting before, it doesn't have context for you. So therefore, AI can't do that. You still need human judgment. So there's quite a lot. And I actually also think that because AI is going to help with a lot of lower order activities and also some pretty intelligent things, I also think it frees up capacity for our minds and for the human mind to come up with higher order and even more advanced things. So I'm expecting the world to forge ahead as a result of this, not to go backward.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
so much has
much,
been said
Abby.
about this.
And thank you
Yeah.
to everyone that has, spoken to this conversation. I can see the questions in the chat. I will come to it very shortly, but just based on what Abby just said, I want to ask the next question. What parts of the HR function do we believe are most at risk of becoming obsolete and why? It's how Mr. Gbenga just always starts with a laugh. Do you want me to throw the question to you first?
Okay, if I may go first.
Let me go first, please.
Okay, so again, a lot have been said about who controls who. Of course, definitely AI will not control human, so human. I mean, we still have AI is artificial intelligence, not human intelligence. So now there's still a lot that humans will still need to do. A human will build trust. Human will empathize. Human will, in the cases of uncertainties and all of that, leadership will have to come in, to throw in their competencies. However, to your question, what part of what we do today will go obsolete, tomorrow, if at all, yeah, I mean, like I said, my background is showing 70-30. So it's about us being ready, okay? Quite a number of work areas where AI will come in to make efficient and to optimize and, of course, to make things, or make life easier and better. Number one is in the area of recruitment and talent acquisition. So today I have 2,000, 3,000 applications, for one single role. I use the example of financial analyst you used earlier. So I need an AI to help me do resume screening. I mean, there are quite a number of AI agents around that. Seek out, Juicebox. I'm not, promoting or, advertising any AI agent here now. However, that before now, it used to be manually, done. And with the AI, we can have candidate matching with Zoe, Recruit, we can have mental view, and all of this will be done intelligently, and then we'll do the matching. So that's around recruitment. I can go on and on. Sarah mentioned, things around LMS. Okay, AI will come into, in the area of learning and development, to streamline, course curation, outlines, quizzes, and of course, to make even the personalized learning pathways much easier. We have quite a number of AI agents around this place. Human will still have to, to sit in, to control, and then to put in all the prompts to ensure that, the right outcome is derived from all of this. And then in the area of employee experience, okay, we have quite a number of chatbots now that are being deployed, even during onboarding, that will need to welcome you and all of that. So chatbot for employee support is there, sentiment analysis, AI can do it for you in a personalized engagement inside. AI will do what in those days that when we have to do manual employee engagement survey and all of that, or even the automated employee. AI can help to, create insight from that. So what is more important here, ladies and gentlemen, is about us being ready, having these skills and competencies to be able to, use all of these, AI agents and tools and tools, so to say. And then last but not the least is around performance, and workforce analytics. Quite a number of, AI agents and, and tools that are here to give insight around, predictive and even generative insight, and of course, around workforce planning. So we have quite a number of that is helping today. So why am I saying all of this? HR skill will not be obsolete if you are ready, if you are future ready, if you are able to use all of these things, it will only enhance and you can balance work and value. So to derive that result. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nee. Anybody else want to add to that? No?
I'm not
Okay.
smiling now, so I
So
can talk.
let me take a question from the chat box, because I see that we have quite a few. And the time we have allocated to questions, we may not be able to take everything. So let me just start with the questions in the chat box. Okay. Okay. So 1 second. Okay. My name is Olala from Kenya. She's a Kenyan HR practitioner and trade unionist. What is the role of human resource managers in mitigating the AI biases in productivity measurements? How would AI be used to conduct employee productivity by use of algorithms and appraisals without infringing on employees' data rights? Would there be a legal policy framework to accommodate harmonious transition? That question looks like a Mr. Nee question.
Why me? Why not Abisola, who is the AI expert? And this was the challenge I put to Abisola earlier, thinking that we're going to, okay, fine. Around AI, ethical AI, okay? How can we prevent, biases, algorithm biases, and all of that? For example, what are we going to do? HR, are we IT experts? Maybe not. Maybe some will agree with me. So we are not. Yeah. Some will say, "Oh, I'm IT," but I'm not an IT expert.
As HR, don't just focus on HR. Learn how to diversify.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mira. Yeah, learn how to diversify. I like that. So it's all of us about organizational readiness. Okay, yeah. So now to this topic around ethical issues, governance, employee data privacy, and all of that. Yeah, it's really a burning issue that we need to pay attention to in such a way that. We as HR professionals, we know what it means when employee information, data is out there, maybe around health, around some other private information, that ordinarily public should not know. So this is the area that number one, our laws and policies, laws of the federation, should come into. We should try to develop, I think right now we have Nigerian Data Protection Act, so we should begin to make some sort of advocacy, to ensure that even if it is not there as it were today, we should begin to have some sort of addendum, to that Data Protection, Act in such a way that we recognize that data privacy is critical in the age of AI. Then back home at the company, the organization, that is where we also need to, be very, very careful in what is it that we put out there that people can go in and have access to. Okay, XYZ, I need to know about XYZ. What are those things? What sort of access right do I have to see just my own, information and data, as opposed to seeing data of XYZ or ABC that may, lead an organization into some sort of, legal issues. So why am I saying all of this? I'm saying this because the conversation that we should be having now is not just, HR, around ethical issues, but it has to cut across all other, functions, all other work streams in the organization, come to finance, to operations, to customer experience, down to the executive level. So I think I will pause here, for my colleagues to add their points. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nee. I think that's where what I think Mr. Benga has been saying about understanding the full business becomes really critical. Because one, it's important that you understand the full context in which those tools are going to be used, especially, for example, if you're an HR leader that is assessing a tool before it's brought into your organization. Before it's deployed, the tech team shouldn't just decide what gets deployed. There should be an HR audit or review to be able to make sure that the vendor's tool is unbiased, right? So you should require an impact analysis across different things, right? Before AI touches hiring, before it touches performance, before it touches pay decisions, there should be an audit process that needs to happen from the HR arm of the organization. Then treat AI output as a draft, not a decision. Don't say because I've put in the tool was brought in by the organization, whatever it says is now gospel. It should narrow the field, maybe, speed up your research and surface patterns. But at the end of the day, we've said that the human has to make the final judgment call on what happens. And then diversify your training data oversight. So that means the reality is that bias is as a result of historical data or what the inputs of the data set is. And the data is the backbone of the oil of the AI. So if your past promotions skewed in one way, for example, you only promoted women above a certain age, then any AI trained on that data set will replicate that behavior. So if there hasn't been diversity in your decision making and there's been biases there, if a tool is trained on that data to then help with decision augmentation, it's going to replicate those decisions. So the inputs are really, really critical. So if you want to see more diversity in the recommendations, the data set needs to be more diverse. As you can tell, I'm talking more about data because that is what is building the AI. So that means that beyond the business skills that has been talked about a lot, another thing that every HR professional needs to become is not necessarily able to build AI tools, but at least data savvy or data dangerous, right? So that you understand what inputs go into what tools to make the tools be able to provide the outputs that it's giving you. And then don't just outsource, and then definitely don't outsource accountability to the vendor. So many vendors will tell you that their model is a black box, that everything on the back end is proprietary, but you need to push back. A lot of regulations, even in the EU, ensure that vendors provide insights and transparency around how their AI is making a decision. They will challenge you before they decide to commit to you as an organization. So I do think that a lot of Nigerian organizations need to be doing the same. At the end of the day, you are paying your money to be able to use this vendor software or this vendor AI. So they need to be able to give a sense of how it's making those decisions so that in case you have a different way and a different logic that you want to implement, you are able to do that. But this also means that you have an HR workforce that can speak the language of the vendor and have those types of conversations.
Thank you very
There's
much.
more I can say, but I will leave room for my colleagues.
Thank you so much. So I just want to take another question very quickly from the chat. So this one is a lot, and it's directed to Abby and Mr. Gbenga. It says, during this AI evolution, this person is upset. During this AI evolution, do you think it will sit on ATS or above it? That's question one. So I don't know who wants to take that.
What
So
do
that's
you mean?
applicant
What do you
tracking
mean it
system,
will
right?
sit? What do you mean it
Second
will
one
sit?
says,
Do
what's
you mean
your
AI will
view
sit
about
on it?
compressing time to hire from 30 days to 7 days? I'll post the question in the chat so it's easy
So
for
the
you to
first
take it.
question, when
The
you says
third
it will
question
sit,
is, do you
okay,
think
sir.
AI would improve talent acquisition? And what are going to be the downsides? And the last question is, do you think platforms like Bamboo HR, Workday, and other tools are really achieving the core metrics of end-to-end full cycle recruitment? I will post it in the chat so
Okay,
that
please post this in the
it's
chat.
easy to
First, I'm not
reference.
going to comment on any particular
So,
platform on this.
okay,
on
that's
this
Exactly.
it then.
panel. So
Yeah.
we can let go of that last question. I think the first question, when it says it will sit on ATS, does it mean AI will sit on ATS? Is that what they're asking?
Yes.
No,
Person is asking
ATS,
if it will sit on the
ATS
application tracking
enabled
tool or not.
What is it? AI.
application tracking system.
Tracking system.
AI enabled ATS, yes.
Okay.
That's what it's saying. So reducing the lead time between, the time the
It's-
vacancy is open and when it's closed. So what will AI do? I think it's specifically measured from 30 days to 7 days. Did I get it right?
Yes.
Okay, I think he's asking if it's going to compress the time for recruitment.
Exactly.
So I think it depends on your organization and your processes, right? If your organization has structured your recruitment in such a way that, for example, because ATS is leveraging AI. That's why I wanted us to just also be clear on, right? It's leveraging AI, and then there's, of course, there are more advanced ones where it's more obvious, but it's an automation, right? So if you're now, for example, you're using it to scan for resumes, to shortlist, to determine who should be interviewed, it could fast track the process. But the issue is now you've let go of all the human judgment that could have happened at each of those stages. And a big thing that we say in AI is you always want to, because I do a lot of AI work also in healthcare, which is very, very paranoid about AI. It's always about the human in the loop, right? So the human needs to be part of that decision process. It cannot be 100% on the AI. We've already talked about the fact that AI can hallucinate. So it can steer you very confidently in the wrong direction. So you need a human who has the domain expertise of what needs to be done to redirect the AI and to create guardrails for it and make sure that it is going on track. So you cannot completely leave at least as of 2026, May 23rd, it is not smart enough for you to completely leave it to the AI. We don't know where it is going because it keeps advancing. So I think that's critical to hear. So yes, you will find organizations that may automate the entire process and be able to recruit in a matter of days, but what they may get might be a mixed bag. I've been in interview rooms where we use AI to augment the interviews, and the candidate that it's selected wasn't accounting for example, the tone, the confidence with which the person answered. It wasn't accounting for it, but it just accounted for the types of tools the person named, for example. So it's not able to Sarah has talked a lot about the context. It's not able to really hone in on that context and really provide that human judgment that you can't 30 years of experience and AI can just replace that pattern recognition that a human being has. And then even like situational context. So for example, the situation in Kenya versus in Nigeria versus in northern Nigeria versus, there are situational context that no tool is even ready to come close to, that the human being still has to handle.
Yeah, and maybe
Amazing.
just to add a comment in terms of the time. So there's a question there about what is the view about compressing the time to hire. So when we talk about compressing, it really depends on which like what are we really trying to compress? Because sometimes when we look, like it's a whole cycle from the time we advertise the job to the time the new hire comes. So what is taking the time in between? Sometimes from my experience is going through the screening process, which is from 1,000 employees to maybe 7 who you want to progress with. Yes, AI can really help you to progress that, to condense that to slightly shorter time, because it can screen for you based on the language you have told it to screen based on, and then make it faster than when it is a human effort that is put in the screening. But there's a whole lot of Abisola, because she's in the tech side and she knows even sometimes when it comes to interviews, how AI can be leveraged. From the side of, for me, the human effort in really screening the candidate is still very important, because it's able to contextualize. Abi has said this, and is also able to ask, people are able to ask the right questions to see the candidate fit on so many components that AI cannot. So yes, it can be able to compress, but up to some level. I wouldn't say like you can move from 30 to 7. Part part of it can be automated, but still part of it needs a human effort to really come out with quality. And there's a question about improving talent acquisition. Yes, AI does in a big way, because it's shortening the time from the time you are taking maybe 3 months down to 1 month, for example. And at the same time, because that's also part of improving the talent acquisition, at the time to hire is very important. But there's also the quality in this. Will AI be able to help you to get quality? Sometimes yes, sometimes not. For me, I look at quality is assessed in so many ways. There are those who will look at maybe how much the candidate means the suitability of the role. Maybe also culture fit is also another component. There is also specific competencies which we need to assess. So AI for me augments what you're looking for to really be able to get the best from what you're looking for. And one very good example I'm finding that many organizations are leveraging are the tests, which AI can fully actually manage for you. Maybe if you're doing competency assessments or personality assessments or management centers, AI can do all that for you. The only thing that will come, and AI will even interpret the results for you at the end of the day, but there must be a human behind to actually contextualize what you're looking for. So it's a combination, really, a hybrid process where automation takes a huge chunk of the transactional pieces of talent acquisition, but there's also the human component that now creates the quality based on what we are looking for on the human side. So we combine both, and we actually end up doing a very good talent acquisition process, but relying 100% on AI. At the end of the day, might work depending on the type of roles you're looking for, but for some very specific type of skills you are looking for, then the human component, human assessment must come in.
You send it to authoring department.
Thank you very much. So let me just take a comment that someone put in the chat. The person says, this whole journey of education is to develop minds that can observe environment well enough to close a gap in knowledge or give explanations that are missing in the body of knowledge. AI is only as relevant as the human who uses it to close those gaps. Invention of a car did not replace the human legs, but aided the human movement. It is only humans who have lost their legs that will now require an invention to aid that condition. In some cases, wheelchair, etc. So I think that makes a lot of sense. So I have another question I want to ask. Do we think that we're going to see a rise of more independent type contracts, right? Meaning that organizations will be more willing to have people on contracts because of the skills that they're able to bring to, let's say, a project that they want to deliver on, right? Meaning that, why do I need to hire you full-time? Or why do I, even as an employee, want to be tied full-time to a company when I can actually give my skills to multiple companies at the same time, right? Because again, we've talked about how we're moving away from job descriptions and titles to a more skill-based workforce. So what do we think? Do we see that happening? Or, I mean, what's your take on that question?
I can go on this. Yes, the trend is really changing. It may not change fully because it also depends on the jobs we are talking about. Like factory, manufacturing-based jobs will still need humans there somehow to be able to monitor some things just to make sure everything is working okay. But when we talk of highly skilled jobs, I am seeing a bigger shift on the trend you are talking about, where people just want to create their time to serve a certain client forever they want, and I want to multiply my skills to different clients based on what I'm managing. So there is a more appetite of contractor engagement more than full-time. One, it's cheap. Let's even start from basics. It's very affordable for many companies. In many ways, when it comes to the dollar value, it's actually quite affordable. And I only want that talent when I need it at the time I need it. That makes it it easy for many companies. The number two, we are also moving to another big giant on remote working, where it's now virtual for most of the things. So why would I be setting up an office to accommodate 100 employees when I can have just probably 20 employees coming to the office when I need them, and the rest are actually able to.
Okay, I think there's a network glitch from Miss Sarah. Does anybody else want to, jump
Okay,
into that
if
conversation?
if I may go next. All right. Okay, so I completely agree with Sarah. Before AI, before the advent of AI, there have been contract-based jobs and fixed term. We call it fixed term contract employment. So whether with the coming of AI, that will increase, it's a yes. The reason is that, okay, I mean, if I have a role that have been 70% automated, and I need a human, the 30% part, for a human to come in to hone, to, do some judgment and ownership. Yeah, why do I need, why do I need a full-time, employee, with an unlimited, an open contract, forever? So therefore, we're going to have that, if it has not started, it will increase. I mean, it will start and then it will increase. But as for organizations or businesses that are, maybe today their processes are, highly manualized, like factory operations, like the environment where I come from, power distribution. I mean, I will not have, my linesman or my cable jointer, that job will not be outsourced or will not be on contract basis. These are full time. These are the core of my business. So AI will not take over such, and I will not have anybody, on contract time with that. So these are jobs that will keep, that will keep evolving and that will keep existing, and that there are certain jobs that AI cannot replace. So the future of AI, in a nutshell, okay, belongs to professional experts who can balance innovation with humanity. So there's that leg of human judgment, accountability, and ownership that we've been talking about. Okay, so I think that's where I will anchor that my response.
Thank you very much. So I want us to be able to take the question that Ms. Lani had mentioned earlier. So Abby, what are you thinking in terms of, AI ethics for HR professionals? And there are also people that are non-HR on the call. So I would like you to speak to that.
So I think so in terms of ethics, it's really about, I think everyone beyond HR profession, everyone everywhere needs to get well educated on the ethical use of AI. One, we all realize that AI takes up a lot of energy. So even what we are using it for, we should make sure that, a Google search, if you can handle it, just go there. Not everything go into because, if you realize how much plastic sometimes, you could have saved in the process, maybe you realize maybe you didn't have to use that. That's number one. But then I think on a more serious note, it's also being thoughtful. That's why we said human judgment is going to be more critical. Being thoughtful about what kind of information we are putting into these tools. What if they're bringing, so I'm not going to talk, I'm going to talk more as though we're bringing tools into our organization. Because a lot of tools are going to be interacting, HR tools for other parts of the organization, financial tools, everything is going to have some degree of AI or data ingestion. It's important that the organizations are aware of how this data is being used, even by the vendor, to create insights about your organization. How is the data of your clients being used? It's important that you understand that, because if your client is doing business with you, they're not thinking that, oh, one tool somewhere is the one that is responsible for their data. They are thinking that it is you that is responsible for their data. So it's important as a professional of any kind that you have an understanding of where that data is going, where it is stored especially. I need to say that again, where it is stored especially, because many of the tools we are using, they are either built by, somebody in the UK or the US or in the EU, is our data. And that's where my biggest fear for Africa, because the innovation is happening faster in other places, is our data now somewhere else? Because whoever owns the data owns the future, is the one that's going to be able to shape. For example, if people start to get insights into the kinds of jobs people are more interested in, or the kinds of jobs that become more competitive in Nigeria, then they are able to shape programs, educational programs for those types of professionals. If that is Nigerian data, a Nigerian should have the ownership of that data. It shouldn't be somewhere else. So that way a Nigerian can profit from that data. So that's why we all have to become data smart, so that we understand what we are really, beyond the efficiency of the tool, what we are really negotiating for. It's not just the tool, but it's also the underlying data.
Thank you very much, Abby. Does anybody want to add to that? Miss Sarah?
She's still on. I don't see her. Is she still on?
I think you're muted. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I dropped a little bit, so I missed the question. So, but Benga want to say something. Maybe you can go ahead.
Okay, a pleasure to have you back. I honestly, Abisola, thank you for your. I mean, you're really in the game, and your input has been spot on. And I'll tie this back to that rant that recruiter gave us earlier, because I know that person was ranting about recruitment, shortage of timing, and all of that. And I've personally followed a few trends and evolution in the course of work. And in my experience, it causes distraction, right? So right now we're all AI, and perhaps we're even more focused on the generative AI capabilities, and we're not seeing the shift towards agentic AI and all of that. So please let's move towards that. But what Abisola is saying, and I really want to advocate for, is, and I see that undertone when I hear questions like, which role in AR is going to be in HR is going to be redundant with the evolution of HR. What in my experience typically now happens, because a few people are hearing recruitment now, and they are entry-level folks, and they have an opportunity to join an HR company now or an HR department, and the opportunity is entry-level recruitment work. What will be playing in their mind is, no, AI is going to take that. And they'll say they don't want such roles because AI is going to take it away. And they want to run towards another role. And that was the same thing that happened when we were all screaming strategic HR, don't do administrative, mundane HR. What we saw in this space was that people who didn't have that background knowledge, who had not handled employee filing, and who didn't know how to enter records and in quotes, do memos without errors, were running away from such opportunities and chasing and even changing their job titles to have the word strategic. And then when we engage that person one-on-one, no, I'm serious, I've seen all these things. When you engage the person one-on-one, you can't see that foundational depth and rigor. And so it shows when you now need to do other things. If I will quote Abisola verbatim, what she's saying is this: every one of us that work in HR, let's go back to our data points. Make sure your employee file is up to date. The last recruitment exercise you did, where is that data? When we clean up our data and we make it easy for us to access in almighty simple Excel, we are in a better position to do a lot more and build guardrails. Because for God's sake, if you can't use Excel and lock it up, for instance, such that people can have access to it, you are going to have bigger problems if you are now sitting on an ATS, or you are sitting on a bigger technology project. Please tell me I'm on track. We run away from such foundational, easy to implement things, and we are chasing the next shining object, and it will show in a matter of time. So all I'm advocating for, please, The same thing with issue of data privacy and all of that. If I come into your HR office right now, am I going to see an employee file on your table, or it's in a cabinet? If I come into your HR department now, the last person that resigned, am I going to see that person's ID card on your table, or is already locked away somewhere? If I come into your office now and I'm seeing papers all over the place, am I going to see the CV of the last person you reviewed or that you interviewed on your table, or I'm going to see it locked away? If we don't deal with such things and build the muscle that makes us, even when we talk and refer to employees and their salary data and things like that, there are people listening to me now, if they are very honest, they've shared their employee data and salary data on WhatsApp with someone else in the last, say, 3 months. So if we don't deal with such things, we will have struggles when we now come into conversations around AI and data privacy and the ethics of the profession. Because please don't let's forget, guys, as HR folks, the ethics of this profession still means that we treat human beings with dignity. We treat their data with the utmost respect. That will always be so with or without AI. I just thought to really emphasize that, because sometimes we push this responsibility to AI. That person that is probably complaining about shortage of time and some ATS tools are not working very well, you are probably struggling with recruitment because you have not done workforce planning. And workforce planning is the beginning of the life cycle, which is why all of us put our recruitment posts and we put urgent recruitment, urgent recruitment. Each time I see that, what it is speaking to is that you have not done workforce planning, which is foundational to the entire cycle of talent management. Okay? And that's not AI. That's just the ethics of our profession. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me just take some more questions from the audience, because we just have about 5 more minutes to wrap up this beautiful conversation. So someone says, how can we stand out from other employees in terms of CV and skill? Update your resume and skills so that you can make it AI compliant by looking at good features that your resumes would have when AI is scanning your resume.
Bisola, please, I will jump on this one. Don't do that. That person, don't do that. Don't. Please, and I know I'm spoiled in quotes. Sarah, forgive me. This may not be relevant in Kenya and to all our other friends from out of Africa. I know I'm spoiling business for some people, but don't let's get into this thing of,
Yeah.
What's the word again now? Don't do that. Be good at what you do. Have the requirement that the business is looking for. And if you don't have it, take the time to go do those things. Don't use AI to change words. I for one, will find you out if you come to my interview. Don't submit AI augmented resumes that you yourself will struggle to defend when you are when you are having a session. Those are the foundational things you focus on. No, please don't let's get on that tandem of submit your CV to AI, it augments it. It's good, it's great, but that is not what will make you stand out.
Yeah, thank you, Benga. It's very spot on. I mean, this is what I experience almost on a daily basis, So the question is, will AI, okay, also come with you to an interview panel, okay, to help you answer questions that will be thrown at you by the panelists, okay? Not so. Your CV may have been fantastically designed, developed, with all manners of tools, whatever. However, it does not take away your humanity. Your humanity is very critical here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I
Yeah,
need
and
to,
maybe just
okay,
to
go
add
ahead.
one last thing on that.
Yeah.
So as recruiters, one thing stands out. We want to see originality in the CVs. So any CV that is AI crafted, we can quickly pick, because AI has the same format, it has the same language, it has the same skills in the way they appear. So any CV, you can quickly pick out of 5 candidates, the 3 who used AI to develop that job description. So we want to see originality in the words you use, in how you market yourself, in the type of skills you are bringing on board in your CV. Because there's that originality, there's that maybe a sense of you that comes to us that you're able to design or you are able to market yourself than using AI to market you. So I think that's very, very important as you try, even if you want to use AI to just tell you maybe the format, use it because you want to have a beautifully looking CV, but make sure the content of what is in your CV is your own content because you can quickly pick what is coming from AI.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I think this has been quite a brilliant, discussion, but I have to bring it to a wrap. Okay, so I would just like everyone to take 30 seconds, please, and leave us with something that you don't want us to forget. We've said a lot in this discussion, but if you want everybody in this audience to remember one thing, what would that be? And we'll go from Abby to Mr. Nii, Mr. Gbenga, and Sarah. And I'll announce something very special that we have for everybody on the call today. So Abby, go ahead.
I think at this point, don't ask whether it's you versus AI. I think at this point is how can AI help me? How can it advance me? And how can I position myself for the future of work? That should be the big question in everyone's mind.
Thank you very much. Mr. Nii?
Okay, so my message to everyone on this call this afternoon or morning is that the future of HR or workplace is both digital and human. Okay, so AI will continue to transform the workplace. HR expert, HR professionals, or any other professionals from any work stream must evolve continuously. Okay, then technical capability alone is not enough. You need human-centered competencies in leadership. Okay, and then finally, the most effective HR leaders will continue to combine technology, strategy, empathy, emotion, data literacy, and ethical judgment. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Gbenga?
By the way, I wonder why you called all of us Mr. and Sarah is Sarah. That's just a joke, don't mind. I think for me, because I think we sparked a lot of conversations today. And what I want to say is to everyone on the call, please, because sometimes I think this takes time to sit in and we couldn't go through all the questions. So my DM on LinkedIn and Instagram is open, and I'm open to, let's take these questions down. Let's just continue these conversations because I recognize that the reality for some of us are pretty different, and we are right in the going through some challenge, or you need a job, or you need to resolve something on the job right now, and you might need that support beyond this 1 hour, 2 hour session. So I'm not canvassing for followers or anything, but I really truly just want to provide support to anyone that is going through anything. So Instagram DM, LinkedIn DM, Gbenga Tutori is my name. I am really open, and I will answer as quickly as I can. That's my last question. Gbenga Tutori, same name that you're saying
Sarah?
on the flyer. Just
They
Gbenga
added
Tutori.
Miss Sarah to her name this time. So Miss Sarah.
Okay, thank you. So my parting shot is even with technology, there's still enough for technology, there's also still enough for us as human beings. But because technology is moving at a faster speed than the way we are moving, it's just us thinking through how do we move faster to make sure that technology does not overtake us. And if it really if it is really moving too faster, how do we make sure we are actually at par with technology?
Amazing. Thank you once again. Please, can we just celebrate this brilliant panel? And I think it's so beautiful, what everyone has said. And I love how Mr. Gbenga also said, if you have questions, he'll be very happy to, help you. Just reach out to him. We'll also drop all the links to their LinkedIn pages, their Instagram pages in the chat box so that you can just follow them. And I remember, so this is the icing on the cake. I remember when I was speaking to Abby and we were preparing for this conference and just talking to her, I'm like, you know what? I'm so sure by the time we're done with this conversation, people would have lots of questions. And I don't want you to just leave my audience like that, right? I want us to leave with something. So I told her, is it possible for us to do like a free webinar? And she was so gracious to, agree to do that so that we can, take this conversation forward. Can we just say a big thank you to Abby? Right? You can already tell that she's brilliant when it comes to this topic, and she has been so gracious to offer us, this free webinar so that we can have more conversations like this. We'll drop the link in the chat. Please, if you're interested, you can just click on the link to register. I don't think it will be open for too long. I think the webinar is meant to hold next week, Tuesday. So the link is right there in the chat. Let me see if I can pin it. I advise everybody to register, and we'll see you in that conversation so that we can take this forward. So thank you once again. Let us appreciate this, amazing panel once again. Thank you guys. I'm so grateful to have you here. So we're going to be moving on to just like a quick, we're going to be bringing up one of our supporters, just hear a quick word from them. They're going to be talking to us about one of their products, and they also have a brilliant offer for us today. So, is anyone here from Simfix?
Yeah, hi, Toby.
The floor is yours.
Okay, I hope you can hear me clearly. Okay, all right, great. Okay, and I hope you can see my screen also.
Yes, we can.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. It's a privilege being able to listen to HR professionals, and it's been very, very enlightening. I think you should invite us outsiders also once in a while to come and listen, because this is very, very eye-opening. So today I would just be taking a few moments to talk about a solution that's specifically tailored for the work that you do in the management of people, basically. And the solution is a Fixiam, and basically focused on how to ensure a lot of manual processes are automated, especially when it comes to onboarding and offboarding of people within your organization. So just piggybacking off a couple of comments that have been made, not everything is going to be automated, but there are some things that in 2026 should be automated, and that level of manual work should already be taken away. And we know that in terms of people coming to join organizations, the people management, the HR persons are the primary point of contact, and that defines the experience of every employee as they go into the organization. And today, just like when you're using apps, different apps on your mobile device, because you've experienced using like YouTube, Twitter, different apps, your expectation and even the expectation of employees, especially Gen Z employees, is going to be compared to different organizations. So it's not just you. In terms of joining a workforce, they will think about, okay, what is my experience on the first few days that I joined? And we've mentioned about the interactions in terms of the one-to-one engagements that happen with the people around culture and all of that. But there's also the experience of how easy it is for them to onboard. And that's what I want to talk about today, that you'll be shocked that there are still a lot of organizations that employees, before they have access to resources they need to work with, it takes days. A lot of things around onboarding is still manual, paper-based. Some of the panelists spoke about that originally, and how important it is to ensure that. So between IT and HR, it's no longer two different departments managing system. It is now for standard onboarding today. It is one interaction, and that's what Fixiam does. Okay, in terms of ensuring that immediately employees have gone through the recruitment process and they've gotten the offer, the entire journey from that offer being received to when they can start contributing meaningfully to the organization is seamless and automated end to end. So at the core, how does this work? Fixiam is an identity orchestration solution that basically sits between your HR system that you use for managing the entire employee life cycle, and all the tools and resources that the employees need to use for their day-to-day work. So from your HR system, where you handle things around hiring, transfer, trainings, and even offboarding of employees, and not just full-time employees, also contract employees. Again, in the era of hybrid work, I know a number of things were said earlier about people that there are skills that are already automated and some skills that you don't need to hire someone for full-time work to do that. But how do you give access to people for just a month, 2 weeks, or whatever the case may be? Now, Fixiam helps you in handling all of that. So it sits between your HR system and all the tools, your SaaS applications, directory, emails, or your productivity tools. From HR system, you onboard someone once their offer is given. Fixiam speaks to all of the tools that you have within your organization, because it integrates directly with all of them and helps to be able to give access based on the department or the job role of that individual. And also, if the person is a temp employee or a contract staff, given the duration, whether it's a 6-month contract, a 1-month contract, unless the contract is renewed, once that contract gets terminated, based on the definition from your HR records, Fixiam helps you to handle that by deactivating them from all of the enterprise system. So basically, that work of manually provisioning users in terms of notifying IT, this person needs to have access to what, all of that piece of work, Fixiam helps you to undo that centrally, gives full detail, audit details, and central visibility into what is going on within the organization. So this has revolutionized the way people onboard users and the interactions that happen within the organization. So from having to be waiting for 2-3 days, 1 week before someone gets access to their work tools, all of these, just hand over the laptop. If you don't operate a bring your own device system, hand over the laptop, and every other thing in terms of access and all of that is handled by Fixiam centrally. So from new employee onboarding to contractor access control, exit and offboarding process, all of these processes, Fixiam helps you to undo that from your HRMS system to all the tools that are used within the organization. So again, as I mentioned earlier, onboarding becomes faster, compliance in terms of your record, it can also serve as your core identity provider in terms of your record, lowers a lot of operational issues, and even for the employees themselves, a lot of employees that use Fixiam just get shocked. I don't have to be chasing people for my access. All of that is already done for me, and yet the organization is secure end to end. So all of this is critical to what Fixiam does. Okay, so for hybrid work era, compliance expectation as they keep evolving in terms of data protection, as well as when you're running a distributed team that has contractors. All of that is sorted out by Fixiam centrally, so that the HR can be freed up for more strategic work in terms of having time to speak to the employees and be able to track those things that tools are unable to track. Now, in terms of also your access governance, you're able to be sure that at each time within your organization, only the right people are in and having access to the right resources. Someone is being transferred from one department to the other. Someone in finance will not have access to resources that are managed by HR, vice versa. So all of that are things that Fixiam helps you to do in real time. Now, Toby had mentioned earlier about an offer that we have available. So for today, in partnership with WeInHR, we would be offering the first 10 persons to sign up for the solution, a 2-month free access, okay, such that you're able to see how all of this works in real time across all of your different applications. So ensuring that your experience in HR as you're moving forward becomes a lot more seamless. So you can scan this QR code and it leads you directly to a form where you can share your details with us, and we'll be able to reach out to you and help you with that sign up. So for the first 10 companies, you get 2 months free. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for sharing that with us. And I encourage everyone to take advantage of the freebie. So they have mentioned that it's going to be a 2 months free access to Fixiam. And I think they're also going to drop the link in the chat. If they haven't already done that, please let's drop the link in the chat so that everyone can partake. I would also try to include these links in the email that we would share right after now. So we're moving on very quickly to the second panel discussion, and I'm so excited. We're going to be bringing up our panelists. So just allow me as I call them. So can we please have Miss Mary Agu, Miss Michelle, Miss Angela, Mr. Ayola, and Miss Ungazi. These brilliant HR leaders are going to be engaging us on this conversation. Okay, please, you can just turn on your camera and we would spotlight you. Okay, Miss Mary, Miss Michelle, Miss Angela, Miss Ayola, and Miss Ngozi, please turn on your camera and we'll spotlight you right away. Okay, let me see. All right. Hi, Miss Angela.
Hello.
Okay, I can see Miss Mary as well. Okay, I see they are coming up. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. This is going to be the final panel conversation that we're going to be having today. And I trust that it's going to be really, really amazing. All right. But before we get into it, I want to know how we are feeling in the chats. Are we excited? Has this conference been really enlightening? Let me hear from everybody in the chat. So feel free to drop your comments in the chat. And if you want to use reactions, I'm here for it as well. How has it been for you? I would even like to have someone speak. So if you want me to call you up to just share what your experience has been so far, you can just raise up your hand and I would be happy to bring you up. Let me see, anybody? Let me see. Okay, I see very enlightening, very refreshing, very insightful, amazing, amazing. Okay, this is great and refreshing. So thank you. I can see all the comments. All right, so don't let me waste any more time. We'll get right into this conversation. So the discussion for this particular panel is rethinking performance management in the future of work. Rethinking performance management in the future of work. I personally believe that we're moving towards a future where the assumption is going to be that AI did this part of your work for you. And we are now going to have to rethink how we're going to be evaluated. So for example, today, right, you want to create a presentation. What most of us do is that we prompt our AI tool to give us a deck, right? But even though that is the reality, I feel like people are not really aware of it. But I feel like we're going towards a future whereby certain tasks, it will just be the norm to say, oh, I expect that AI did that thing for you. You see what I'm trying to say? So the question would then be, what should we be evaluated by? What should we be paid for? Do you understand? Should we just be paid for the fact that we say, okay, you asked me to do something, here it is, and it's obvious that AI actually carried out that particular task for you. So in us just being able to, again, predict what the future will look like, what would performance management, look like in this future of work? And something that, kept coming to mind as I thought about this particular conversation is that as HR, leaders, I believe that we need to be paid for the incremental value that we add on what AI gives to us, and not just, sending requests to AI like a lot of us do today. So many of us, we just even use it for, question and answer. I want to do this, give me this, and it does that. But the real question is, if we pay attention to how things are changing, even how we should be evaluating people's performance needs to also evolve. So I want to just, introduce us to our speakers quickly. For the same way we did for the first panel, they'll get a chance to introduce themselves and tell us something that we don't know about them. So something fun that we don't know about you. All right, so we'll go from Ms. Angela to Ms. Michelle, Mr. Ayola, Ms. Ungazi, and Ms. Mary.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Angela.
Tell us something about yourself.
Yeah, I'm a human resources professional with over 15 years. I am also the co-founder of Women in HR Kenya. I think that is exciting. One of the things is I come from Kenya. I am living right now in the South Coast, which is also another quite interesting fun fact that I would like all the people maybe on the call or any other person to really come and visit us. And one of the things that really drives me is the passion for people. I love HR. I do HR. I am one of the people who sits and look at the future. So when I was really call, or rather, when you had this conversation about today, I was very excited because I am one person who is also very excited about the future and where our people are going to be and where the organization are going to be. And being performance management, it's also one of the key areas that us as HR have to address. So I'm really happy to be here, and I look forward to having an interesting conversation with all of you and also learning from all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. My name is Michelle. I'm also an HR professional and also the founder of Mitch Consulting and Career Services, Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire. So at the moment, I work with talent, and then I also work with companies to bridge the gap across talents in Africa and beyond. Something I would say you might not know about me. I would say I'm a diehard Arsenal fan. I'm super excited about the victory that we had, and so I feel like I don't know why I'm so excited laughing, but I know a number of people on the call are also confused why we're speaking about Arsenal. But I mean, I'm just super excited that sometimes resilience and patience is also like a very important thing. So I'm on the call, and I'm also someone really passionate about performance and looking at the world of AI, seeing how AI has, just like what Toby was saying. You ask someone to do something, and then in minutes they bring that into you that they are done. How then, as HR professionals, do we assess what performance really is? So I'm really excited to jump on conversations like this, because I feel conversations now like this would also tilt towards soft skills, as opposed to just hard skills when it comes to performance management. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ayola.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Like it's been said, my name is Ayola Raji. I'm an HR professional. I bring with me almost 2 decades of experience spanning across service and FMCG. I'm happy to be here. I've been listening in the last 2 hours or so, and I think I've been very interested in some of the feedback. I was happy with Benga's position a lot. It was very, spoke to share the gospel truth about what we need to do and what has been happening in the HR space. I hope to share a few of my experience and possibly learn from other colleagues here. What is it you don't know about me? Fun. I love nature. I take every advantage I get to travel to learn more about diversity in Nigeria and Africa. And from there, I pick up learnings and try to see how things can be done differently. I look forward to the next hours to be very interesting. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Sorry, can I be heard? I have a cough, so that is a not fun fact about me right now. I have a cough and a cold, so I'll probably do a whole lot less talking than I would have done and just ask you to bear with me. So my name is Ngozi. I've been doing what I do in addition to many other things for the last almost 20 years. Right in my current incarnation, I have been in healthcare, human resource management in healthcare for the last on and off for the last 9-10 years now. I'm also passionate about performance. I think that's the most interesting bit about HR, trying to get people to perform. First of all, deciding what performance is, what it looks like, trying to get them to meet their potential in alignment with what the organization requires as well, and make everybody, look nice and fun and happy while they're doing all of this heavy lifting stuff. Fun fact about me, for real, today is my birthday.
Wow.
I've just come off my closeout address to 120 new. Thanks, guys. I've just come off, so that's also part of the croaky voice you're hearing. I've just come off the closeout session from onboarding 120 new recruits into our 8 new centers we're opening across Nigeria. So yeah. So that's me. And I mean, I sat in for the first session. I'm sure this will be equally interesting because people get very sensitive when it comes to performance. And well, I hope I can add value, and definitely I intend to take away value from this as well. So thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, and happy birthday to you. All right. Miss Mary?
Okay, good day, everyone. My name is Mary Ago. I currently work with Konga Group. I serve as the Vice President, People Engagement and Administration. I have experience in HR that spans 13 years across banking, financial sectors, investment, FMCG, e-commerce, retail. I'm a lawyer as well, so I think that's another spice to my HR. Um, yes. Fun fact is, at the moment, I'm actually supposed to be on vacation in Kenya. I got in yesterday, so I'm taking this session. I'm attending this session from Kenya, even though I work in Nigeria. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Amazing. I think yourself and Angela can connect because she's also based in Kenya. Okay,
Yeah.
so without wasting any more time, I want us to just get into the discussion, right? What do we think is the most important shift that HR professionals and organizations must make today to actually future-proof their performance management approach? Very broad, so you can decide to take it in whatever direction you choose. But I'll just repeat the question again. What is the most important shift that HR professionals or organizations must make today to future-proof their performance management approach? Okay.
Yeah. Any particular order?
You can go.
All right, thank you. I think the first thing is about clarity of objective. Today, before now, part of the challenge with performance is ambiguity of objective and lack of line of sight. An average man on the shop floor should be able, sorry, I spend most of my time in FMC, so I'll be inclined, my illustrations will be inclined from the FMCG space. An average man on the shop floor should be able to establish his or her objective in line with the overall business objective. In Nigeria today, in the last couple of years, for those of us who go to the banks occasionally, if you notice, there's a paradigm shift in the approach to customer service experience you get from some of the old generation banks. I don't want to mention names here, but if you go there, there's some cut seats that are extended to you from security men. It's deliberate. It's not a fluke. Same thing should happen in the workspace. Part of the challenge we have is people are not clear about what their deliverables are and how they are connected to the overall business objective. So regardless of whatever model you run, hybrid, presence at work, hybrid or flexi, fundamentally, every employee should understand his or her business objective and the overall business objectives and how they can contribute to the deliverables. What's their role? Such that there's collective accountability and we can hold ourselves accountable, and where there's a derail or somebody's losing focus, we can call such a person back on track. I will reference what one of the last speakers said. Part of the challenge we have today is lack of clarity. People do not understand what the business is doing and how business makes money. If you understand that, you can come to work to say, this is my contribution. What are your deliverables this week? What are we doing this week? So to answer your question in summary is we need to help employees have clarity at what they do. Clarity of objective and clarity of delivery. That way, evaluation can be almost seamless. Thank you.
Thank you. Who would like to go next? Okay, so let's have Miss Michelle, then we'll have Miss Mary.
Thank you so much. Just to add to what he has said, I feel like organizations nowadays are, heavily dependent on AI. And when I mean dependent on AI, I know Ms. Abby spoke about something where she mentioned that an HR professional in charge of any performance management tool should also have in-depth understanding of that tool and should give detailed reports of that tool before deploying. But what I see nowadays, you see HR professionals telling people, okay, go to that platform, have your KPIs and your objective, inserted on the platform. And these people are not still clear on what they are supposed to do. Just like you said, there's ambiguity in terms of the tools that they are using. The tools were probably not strong before, deploying that tool to the company. So now it feels like people are keen on accuracy of, okay, this person has been able to put down their activities. However, you're not looking at things around, let's say, the adaptability, emotional intelligence of that person to deliver work. The work quality is reduced, and then is now heavily dependent on, okay, we're using this tool, we're looking at what this person has done, but in real sense, we just have people populating tasks that are not transcending into business profitability. And then sometimes they don't even know what they are meant to do. It just feels like, okay, I was given this thing to do. I've been able to update my dashboard. I've been able to update the Jira board. I've been able to update my Notion board. I've been able to update So people are not really intentional about what they are doing anymore, as opposed to what, performance should be. So we should also address the soft skills of people, because now AI, like Abisola said, can do virtually anything. But the ability to look at the quality of work, the ability to look at the person behind the work, the ability to look at the task that was given, the emotional intelligence that was put in place, the intentionality behind the work is very key. And these are things that, because AI is now around, everybody feels like, oh no, the person that is more tech savvy seems like the one performing the best. And when you go back and then you look at the performance of that business over the year, you see that little or nothing was done. Just more, more just adding more cost to the business in terms of technology know-how. So I feel like we should also consider soft skills of people and how that soft skill is translating to performance, and not just deploying tools and people are still a bit ambiguous of what is expected of them. Just like what Mr. Ayola said, he said you go to the bank and then you see the courtesy behind these security guards or floor managers or these people. Now, you might look at it from a perspective, well, this person probably just have like a good aura to greet and all of those things. But no, these are things that have been written down in the simplest form for people to understand, and not just using tools that are a bit confusing for people in such a way that they don't even know the slightest thing that should be very important in terms of performance management. So I feel like we should also look at things that are around, things that are more practical, more easily, things that can be easily explained to people, as opposed to deploying tools that people find it hard to understand what is expected of them. And also able to look at the sector of where you're working at. You can't expect AI is taking over the world, I agreed on that, but there are still some roles that you might still need to apply a bit of traditional model to scale up those roles in terms of performance. So these are things that would also, help to improve performance in any organization. I believe that's the shift that we should also have.
Thank you very much. So let's have Miss Mary.
She's muted.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, so one of the major shifts I think we need to focus on first is understanding that performance management is not just a HR responsibility. It is the responsibility of the business leaders as well, and everybody entirely. A lot of people see it as it's that HR thing, and that's where that mindset needs to change. It is not that HR thing. Everybody is responsible for performance management. That's one. So I think we need to move from a process-driven performance management to a purpose-driven performance management. A lot of organizations are very into process. Did you follow the process? What is the process of this? As opposed to what is the purpose for which they are doing that thing you asked them to do. That's a major shift. And then most importantly, our metrics, our KPIs need to be more less activity based, more result oriented. So you see a lot of people who are very visible, and almost in some organizations, it looks like the most visible people are the ones who get the promotions. They're the ones who are in your face. They're doing a lot of things. They're closing late. They're coming to work early. That's not really the goal. We need to understand, what does the business want? what are those outcomes, the results, and shift from activity. It's like when most businesses moved and transitioned to remote or hybrid, and people started wondering, how then do you want to measure their performance? We can now see and we can now understand that it's not who stays in the office the longest that produces the best result. So that shift needs to be done where people move from activity, just focusing on the activities and more on the results. And I think finally, this cycle of having annual appraisals, biannual appraisals, quarterly appraisals, while they are very good and is a traditional method, feedback has to continue. It has to be continuous. It has to be real time, not waiting for the end or maybe 6 months tell somebody what they've been doing wrong. It's productive. We are in a dynamic, things are now digital. You need to shift that mindset. We can have that for documentation purposes, but feedback should be continuous and real time. So I think those are the few shifts I think we need to make in HR. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Ngozi, would you like to go?
I can go.
Okay. Okay, I've been unmuted now. Okay, cool. All right, no, sorry, Michelle. So, like I said, sorry, Angela, I really don't want to talk too much about this. But honestly, I think everybody, Mary, Ayola, Michelle, they've all said probably what I would have said from different aspects. We need to be more intentional in terms of measuring results rather than activity and running around. Feedback needs to be more frequent and constant. The process of, and then performance management isn't evaluation. Evaluation is a stepping stone or a milestone, in the performance management cycle. So it actually starts from when the person comes in, how you bring the person on board, which is why I've flown from Abuja to Lagos to be here talking to people. I'm actually in a hotel room. So from the moment you bring people on board, how you onboard them, how you orient them, to how you move them out of the system when it is time for them to go, regardless. All of that is a performance management cycle. And it's not the HR thing, as Mary said, it is the organization thing, which is facilitated by line managers and husbanded and given a framework which is tended by HR. So whatever AI or any form of technology can help you do for that to happen and to run smoothly without abdicating your responsibilities, I think is a good way to go. Which means you have to, as you said, talk about communication. So whether it's communication about introducing the AI, or whether it is communication to the people about how the tool is going to be used once it has been introduced into the organization, or even communication between you and the vendor to make sure that they are giving you what you need in the first place. So communication, change management, ability to have difficult conversations, basically the soft skills, as Michelle and I think Mary mentioned, are now what is very, very critical, and what AI will probably never really help you take over. They might give you pointers, but at the end, you have to feel your way with your emotional intelligence, with your technical ability to deliver on the kind of performance management, including performance appraisal system, that your organization needs. I think that's pretty much me.
For me, I can add, you've all said quite a lot of what have been said. I will add on what even the other speaker in the first session was talking about, that the human intelligence is still needed, especially in the performance appraisal thing. We look at when you are doing every time there is a performance appraisal cycle happening, the employees will always know either there is a promotion coming or salary review. Something must be attached to it, that is monetary. But I've seen a lot of time nowadays, we are shifting from that, and it's also going into the future, where now we have other human-based or human-centered incentives. It's no longer about the salary. It's no longer about the incentive that comes with it. Right now, it's more of, now we are talking of mental health. We are talking of the psychological safety that the employee needs to have and need to understand that this is something where I want to belong. This is where I have a purpose. This is performance management. It's no longer just that centered. So me, I just say it's no longer mostly like done most of the time just to increase salaries or to terminate some contracts. It's more of now what value am I getting as an employee? They also look at it, not just the money part of it, but the you know, they're looking at it. I'm looking for the work-life balance. Yeah, they're looking at the work-life balance. What else can I get out of working here? And that's one of the things for me, we are looking at the future when you're looking how performance management is being carried out. And then which one of the point I had, which I'm glad that you mentioned, is the ambiguity. We no longer just go, doing the KPIs and doing according to what our job description have. We are adapting, people are adapting, employees are adapting to the new, to the flow of the work, because what was happening yesterday is not what is happening today, and it's not what will happen tomorrow. Even though the goal is, we all want to have a great output, a lot of time the processes they move quickly or they shift depending on what is happening given the surrounding other workplaces. So I'll add that to what you discussed today. Yeah.
That will lead me to the next conversation. So I don't know if you heard what I said previously. I said I want to contribute and paint a picture that will lead me to the next question that I want to ask. So if we think about it, right, it looks like AI can do a lot of the executing for us. So I really think that we're going to get to a point where, even as HR professionals, we need to start thinking about how we want to evaluate people based on the depth of the problems that they're able to ask that supercomputer or that AI tool to solve for them. So that even changes how we look at performance management, or how I believe we'll look at performance management going forward. So for instance, you were able to ask this tool to build you this app, right? But why did you ask it to build you the app in the first place? Or why did you ask it to build you this particular thing and not the other thing? Do you understand what I mean? And I know it goes back to that, human judgment and critical thinking, So for example, say you ask your AI tool to give you some recommendations, and it gives you two amazing answers, right? And many times the answers always look right. Okay. I think that part of how we would need to rethink how performance management works is that beyond just bringing the two answers, because now we know that AI can give you those answers, I think we also need to be thinking about, in terms of context, which one is better, right, for that context that we're in, and why are you going in that direction? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? And I feel like that even requires even more judgment and more deep thinking than maybe we used to even practice in the past. Because like I said earlier, AI would give us lots of possibilities. And I know Abby spoke to it that even sometimes it's not relevant to your context, right? But it can't necessarily tell us which of those possibilities actually matters in the view of the context that you are in. So let's say for a HR professional, you are able to automate a lot of your processes. It helps you to write your JDs. It helps you to even pick which candidates that you're meant to invite for an interview, right? How do we now evaluate that HR professional's performance? Because yes, of course, the HR professional is faster because of the AI tool. You are able to, be quicker, go through generate the JDs. You are able to even determine very quickly, oh, this is the ideal candidate to bring for an interview. But what are we now going to be evaluating people based on? So in this same context, let's say you brought in these people, you've interviewed them, you've even hired them, but your attrition rates, and the rate at which people are quitting your company hasn't improved. I think that is where we now need to pay attention to, that beyond just, the work getting done, we need to be paying attention to the outcome. Do you see what I'm trying to say? We need to be paying attention to the result of that task that was, assigned, or that KPI, for instance, that was assigned to that employee. So bearing that in mind, how do you think that organizations can now redesign performance management systems to focus more on what really matters and also on the skills, because just listening to all the speakers, we can overemphasize the fact that, I mean, we're going to leave the titles, leave all the JDs and really go into skills. So how do we think that organizations and HR professionals need to start to rethink and redesign performance management in such a way that we're focusing more on, growth, outcomes, and skills rather than just, the speed of execution or typical ranking systems that we have today? So I don't know who would like to go first. Please go ahead, Michelle.
All right, I think I can speak now. So I think first would hinge on human judgment, because even before AI, we've had these metrics. They've been existing. You spoke about recruitment. There are certain metrics involved in recruitment. There's time to fill, there's quality of hire, and then we've always used the 3 months assessment to say, if someone stays for 3 months, it means they're a good hire, it means that, but we've not really gone beyond calculating all of this duration. I mean, who gave the rule that 3 months is the ideal time to know a good hire? A good hire might be a bad hire in 6 months' time. I mean, a good hire might be a bad hire in 1 year time, you understand? But the pattern of most of the employees that this HR professional have been able to bring on board can also tell you the quality of hire, which are things that we don't pay attention to. So for example, someone joins the team, even if you're very fast to close out on the recruitment timeline, or you're able to shut down the recruitment timeline first, when it comes to the onboarding process, what was the employee experience? Because we're fast to tag, new hires as bad hires, and we're forgetting the process as which that person joined the company. What was the human interaction when the person joined? What was the support the person got? Was there a body assigned to this person at the time of joining? How was the person able to integrate into the system? These are things that can only be judged by human intervention. It can't be judged by AI. The AI is not around to tell you, okay, at this point, this was how this person felt during the onboarding stage. This was what, these are things that you cannot necessarily, tell. And that's why you also have to put in metrics for the employees too. Like the place I previously worked before I, got into consulting full time. There were times where I also had my one-on-one, because we're a middle-sized organization. I had my one-on-one with employees. There were times I heard things that were not, the best to hear. But for me, those were the ways for me to improve my own self and my system. But nowadays, you see companies focused on just stakeholder evaluation. There is no core interaction with employees, or you see some open-ended questions like, was your onboarding process this, yes or no? I know people are not able to come out to to state how they feel about a certain experience for the company, which can also reduce the performance rate of that employee and also of the business. So I would say more human intervention, judgment, and more focus on the employees that report to the certain line managers that works with these HR professionals, as opposed to metrics that are just calculated by, quantity-based calculations. More human intervention and judgment. Thank you.
So for me to add something about data, and it's important for data because now data is what advises us. A lot of time when you're doing the maybe performance appraisal, those questions being asked is, what is the previous data? What is it advising us? Because where there is something coming in, it's what now advise on a decision that was made. A lot of time also when you're looking at employees, of course, they will use AI, they will use those platforms. We see that in CVs, whereby you read a CV, you're like, it's not. Even you look at the letter they're writing, their cover letter, and you realize this person probably just, did maybe copied this from an AI place and just, inside made it into that CV. So one of those for the human intervention is now to ask those questions, those critical, real questions. Yeah. Like, most of the time for me, when I see such a CV on my desk, like after the shortlisting and everything, I will ask, because I will know this one, it's not really, it's not connecting the dots, it's not speaking. And I would ask, a lot of time the people will just say, it's maybe someone from the cyber made the CV for me. And these are the people, once you onboard or take them, they're the people who will be, maybe you're giving them a role that requires them to really think, but they may not be in a position to think because now something else or somebody else is thinking for them. So during performance, or rather to pick up that the performance aspect of it, it's more to ask that person to critically think and come up with the idea themselves rather than using AI. We cannot really remove now AI away because it's the future. But one thing we can do is now put a lot of now the human discernment in it and trying to figure out how do we steer this to speak what is happening on the ground, to speak about how unique we are as an organization, to speak about our product or service without letting it being diluted by AI. Yeah, so human discernment is really, really key. Yeah.
Mary, please go ahead. Thank you so much, Angela. Yeah. Mary, please go ahead. Okay, please go ahead. Mary. Okay, let me see. Mary, are you able to unmute yourself now?
Okay, yes, I can now. So I just want to add to what Michelle and Angela have said. If two people were asked to do a presentation using AI, the same AI, you would see the difference between a person who relied 100% on AI and someone who was able to take their own initiative when using AI. And then that goes to show in even the prompts given to AI when you're asking it to do certain things for you. It would show who knows what they're doing and who's just relying solely on it. And I think that's how you'll be able to differentiate people who use it without even understanding why they're using it. AI is supposed to enhance one's performance, not to take over your initiative. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So for me, even in my team, I encourage them to use AI a lot. But I could tell you even when someone sends an email, you can tell when this is just a ChatGPT email, or when somebody actually coined an email and sent. So I think that's making people understand, making our employees understand that while they rely on AI, they are to use it as an enhancement, not to take a back seat and allow it to do the work for us. I think that would show clearly, even in your performance, when you're measuring people, their output. And I think when I spoke the first time, I spoke a lot about shifting from activity based. So yes, with AI, you will be faster, you will do a lot, you would, cover up deadlines and all of that. But what is the quality of the outputs that you're actually giving? That would be what would differentiate two different people who are performing on the same role. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to, okay, you want to go, Mr. Ayo? Okay, let's go ahead.
To build on all that has been said, at the first panel earlier in the day, one of the comments I shared was that understanding what the business awareness is key, regardless of what tool, what you do, and how you do it. Like Mary said, the human intervention cannot be eliminated. Ideally, let me quote myself there. What I said, your AI is supposed to be an enabler and to enhance our turnaround time. Ideally, before you spend time knocking off a slide, if you want to use AI, the first thing to do is do your write-up, give it to her to fine-tune. And when he finishes, you take it back and adjust. Take, for instance, onboarding. Yes, you can design, automate your process. The human interaction and the collaboration are the things you'll be evaluating at the end of the day. The quality of results. The employee experience is where you're going to be evaluating at the end of the day. How? That is where the human interaction comes in. AI will not, well, we're not, if you work in an environment where end to end, you have robots interacting and dealing with you, the focus on evaluation of performance will be different. But here in Africa, where I think largely we're largely human dependent, the quality of human interaction, the quality of collaboration, the quality of, yes, the speed might be enhanced by the technology you use, the quality of evaluation and quality of human collaboration. Because the truth be said, you need that person to work in a team. In HR recruitment, you have done your CV, you have done your interview, you have done your report. What is your recommendation? If at the end of the day, you're writing a report, you're writing a board presentation, or you're making a presentation, after everything, what is your submission? My submission is this. And God help you if you are working with a CEO, or you're having to engage with C-suite executives, where they'll throw you on the spot. What about this? What about that? You can't go back to say, can I go and check? Sometimes some data, you give a range when you're not exact, but that will also show the quality of your deliverables. In your question, to answer your question, the quality, what will you be evaluating? Is the quality of how you interact, and then the parameters, the KPI you'll be setting will obviously will differ as we go along.
Thank you very much. I want to bring up another question, and Ms. Angela would like you to go first. So in, let's say, 3 to 5 years from now, what do you think will surprise us the most, about how HR professionals and companies will start to evaluate talent and performance? I mean, I know that you're not a prophet, so it's just based on what you can tell, based on the signals that we have. But what do you sense would be one of the most interesting shifts that we would see in how performance is being evaluated in about 3 to 5 years? Oh, she's dropped off. Okay, anybody else can actually take that question. Please go ahead.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Oluwatobi. That's quite interesting. What do we think? I mean, in my humble opinion, I think it will still be a mix of all the things we've talked about now, which is one, the ability to leverage whatever technologies are available and relevant to deliver results required. And then how you then sort of distill and discern decision-making material, whether it's data or conversations or inferences or so on, to then, prefer solutions or solve problems or even identify problems, which in itself is a skill in the first place. I think it'll be pretty much the same. It's just maybe the way and manner in which this will be done. And when I say way and manner, again, tools would have evolved, processes would then evolve to encompass the evolution of the tools. Organizations would hopefully become a bit more fine-tuned in what it is that they're measuring. And what it is that they're measuring is what makes sense to them. And it might not be the same for company A to company B, even in the same industry or the same sector or subsector. So I think it'll still be the same. It's just that there will be a lot more, as we've said, emphasis on ability to leverage and then use what you've gotten to solve problems, tell stories, identify issues, areas of improvement, all these kinds of things that frankly we're doing now, but maybe at a much higher level at that point. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Angela is back. I don't know if you got,
sorry.
or should I
Yeah,
repeat
I
it?
got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I dropped off. For me, I'm looking at 3 to 5 years, which we are having, of course, Gen Z as a generation, of course, and a lot comes with that. Not just the gadgets or any other thing, but yes, even the way they talk, the way they reason, the way they having to answer about their performance. One of the thing I think sorry. One of the thing I think will be, of course, changing is coming now with this generation. A lot of things will be coming up for performance appraisal or review, and starting just from simple thing like the attention span. So the workforce will have a little bit changed. The attention span is little, and now the KPIs or the deliverables will be different. But then now the HR aspect come in terms of now we'll need to really know that we are, the way we manage different generation at workplace. We now have to put our, I don't say policies, we just want to now have to align our organization processes to accommodate this, like 5 years ago, or rather 6 years ago, there was no COVID and there was no working from home for many companies. There were, but for some that probably were international or maybe companies that were already having that. But right now it's the norm. A lot happens, especially, for example, here in Kenya, we have all those maybe riots. Just on Tuesday last week, we had people going on the street because of the high cost of the fuel. And at that time, as HR, we had to adapt quickly and allow some people to work from home, or rather just find a way of ensuring that this is happening. So you see, at that time, when you're also looking at the performance, let's say maybe there was a special thing to have been done on that time during the performance talks and everything, we cannot bring that up because it was something that was interrupted beyond the employee. It wasn't their doing. And I think a lot of that will be in the future when there's such disruption, we'll quickly adapt quickly, we'll move quickly, and we'll be able to accommodate every other, new things coming up. Of course, we'll use AI to track and realize that this person was actually maybe logged in, this person actually did something, or just the data that will show that this person on that particular day or on those particular assignments, they were able to meet their deliverables. So for me, I see it's something that we shall continue those conversations happening. They will evolve, and so is the generation, and even so is the HR processes, just to accommodate the new norm that is coming. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to add? Please go ahead.
All right, so I feel like there would be more difficult conversations when it comes to change management because there would be high conversations around more needed transferable skills. I mean, it's already happening. In my role, I mean, there are so many professionals that you see. They would also take up other skills like job ads creation. Like for me personally, I also have other transferable skills like graphic skills, designing flyers, and doing so many other things, just to ensure that my delivery rate of the task given to me, is more accelerated. So I feel like there would be there will be more need for, transferable skills. And I believe that there would also be, and this would lead to more JD role calibration, where, people would now have to live with having to do almost dual roles just to meet up with what is needed. And I feel like there might be also more agile approach when it comes to evaluating performance. It might even be a hybrid model if you ask me, because in the past when I was working, I mean, while I was working in Dangote, I've been used to the biannual system. But now you see, even line managers are beginning to inculcate the OKR system that is quarterly based, where they're able to touch points with their team. This might not even be at the leadership level, but I see a more agile approach that would, put people on their feet. I see a need for more accountability structure. So these are things I believe would come in because, due to remote working, there are more stand-up meetings in, various companies. There are more, you look at a JD that was created 2 years back, and then looking at 3 to 5 years, you see some added or transferable skills, knowledge skills to language skills too, I believe, would also be something that most organizations will be asking for, because at this point, like the world is now, I would say, a small village due to AI and technology. So we'll see more of these things come into reality. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anybody want to add? Okay. Please go ahead, Mr. Ayo.
All right. So to add to what has been said, I think there'll be a lot more attention we paid on employee psychological safety, employee well-being, and then there'll be a lot of attention about an inclusive workforce. And opportunities, diversify opportunities. I'm happy somebody here said she has capacity to diversify and develop flyers. This is part of the beauty of technology. And then imagine before now, you'll probably have a unit or have an agency that does all this for you. But on the go, you can get on a system or a phone and you have access to any of these good apps, and then you can come up with something and go. Personally, I have an initiative I've been trying to play with around in the last couple of weeks. I've shared it with my engagement champion. It seems to be slow, but because I want him to own it, I've been pushing him and trying to get other people to help him work on that idea. If the idea sells, it will give him a lot of recognition. But imagine that I was pressed. I will have to just get on the system, get this flyer out, and then in minutes we're out and we're running. Today, employee well-being is the focus, which was not there before, and then there'll be a lot of attention in that space. People will begin to tell you about their mental health and what have you. A lot of attention needs to be paid in that space. More so with the advent of technology, people will be seeking safety, psychological safety, and workplace safety. They'll be telling you, will I rather work here? Somebody cited what has happened in Kenya. Yesterday, those of us who were in Lagos, look at what happened. Lagos was on a lockdown. Was on a lockdown everywhere just because of the rain. More will come. Where in the political seasons, a lot of things will happen, and then people begin to tell you, sorry, I can't make it today. I've got this, I've got that. And we should not lose focus on the deliverables at all. Just tell the person, provided this week alone, I've had requests for people to work from home. Almost 2 or 3 people. Tell me, just make sure you don't lose focus on your deliverables and get me my results. That's fine. Get it done and move on with. So these are some of the things the business will have to focus on. The business will have to be agile, flexible, and at all times ensure that people are not losing sight of their deliverables. And then business performance will continue to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really love what you said, and I think I will just, go from there to my next conversation, right? And I love that we've been talking a lot about human judgment, critical thinking and all. But do we have a sense of how we will be able to evaluate like creativity, even emotional intelligence, human judgment, collaboration, in this new world of work, especially now that a lot of things are driven by automation, right? Does anybody have a sense of how we think that we'll be able to evaluate these core skills going forward?
Maybe we should ask how we're evaluating them now. How do you actually evaluate collaboration right now? How do you evaluate critical thinking right now? Some things are evidence-based as against being sort of like in a specific shape, if that makes any sense. So somebody is collaborative. If the person is collaborative, they'll be collaborative in their bedroom as they'll be collaborative in a boardroom. If the person is a lone wolf or a lone ranger, they will be so. If the person can evolve from that to whatever, so first of all, you want to even define what all of that means. So those things, if you can't define a thing, how do you know when you're seeing it or when you're not seeing it? And then definition goes with context. It goes with, as Angela talks about, and context is also, and Angela, honestly, you brought up a really interesting bit when you talked about Gen Z and their attention span and all, because all of that has a context. If you're talking to a Gen Z person and about 5 minutes time, their eyes one day away from you, they're not being rude. They've just, gone away. So first of all, I mean, how do we do them now? How do we measure them now? And that would help to say what they'll look like or how they'll be measured in the future. I think is the short answer.
Thank you. Please go ahead, Mr. Ayola.
I think just to build on what she said, I work for a business where we do a lot of co-creation across geography, regardless of where you sit. You might not set out to call it a collaboration. Collaboration is key, one of our cardinal values as a business. Where you have a deliverable, for most businesses, you can't solve the problem alone. Your output is someone else's input as such. And most people will not wait for you to finish. So there's a project to be done, or you're working on an initiative. You have put together a team of people to work on it. Everybody will be given a task to say, you know what, you have to look after this. And whilst you're at it, there are instances where you will need to get to validate or check with other colleagues. What is this? How is this? Is it data correct? If we do this, was this as at this data as at the last time we met and all that? Real-time engagement. The quality of engagement will also speak for it. And when it's time to present, the way you present and the quality of your results will be what it will be measured. As the business, as time evolves and the focus will differ. Just like everybody has said here, before now, people were, presentism was the goal. Today, results is the focus. I said earlier, people were not at work, but I got what I needed from them. So that's as we just like she said, how are we doing it today? We'll build on what is happening today to look into the future.
Thank you very much. So let me just throw about 2 more questions and then I'll look at the chat. And if you have any questions, please just drop in the chat. So what should be our position as HR leaders now as we prepare managers for, let me call it the AI-powered performance conversations, right? How do we prepare them? Because the truth is that there are now AI tools that can coach employees. Do you understand what I mean? So how can we prepare our managers for this new, future of work as it relates to performance management?
Okay, let me say something briefly. Okay. So another thing that happens in most organizations these days is you see people get to managerial roles based on their technical competence, not necessarily based on their leadership skill. So that's where we have to start addressing it from. From the moment you identify someone who has the technical know-how, we start to train the person to become a leader. In doing so, you are building that person. So when the person becomes a leader, he's well-rounded. And I've experienced this, unfortunately, where I have very high-performing leaders who do not know anything about leadership. And that's why you start to see some level of toxicity. You start to see the followers not wanting to follow this person. So that's the foundation I think we should even start from, is in grooming the high performers to actually start possessing managerial and people and leadership skills from the get-go. Now, once you've been able to do that, then you also bring in AI as now AI handling, for example, trainings for you is not the same as having personal mentorship. So that's another thing. When you identify someone in a team who you feel should be considered maybe a successor, there should be that one-on-one touch, physical, interaction with the person, someone superior, in addition to whatever tools or learning elements you want to use. So for me, I think that is where we should first start and build upon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think Ms. Ngozi wanted to say something.
No, not really. Mary basically sort of said what I wanted to say. When you said, okay, so now we have coaching tools, please excuse me, that are AI driven, where's the place of the line manager? I agree. The people that you're beginning to identify as leaders or managers need to be developed away from their technical skills, which means that even the way you appraise them going forward, maybe it will then become a 60-40 scenario. 60% will be on their behavioral and their ability to groom and develop and, bring about collaboration and problem solving, superpowers out of their teams, and 40% is the technical. But over and above that, I was going to say the human element, that story, what Mary now ended up saying, which is the mentoring element, the storytelling element. Like I said, I was rounding up the onboarding for these people we're doing today, the new hires. I had a 17-page slide. I'm not entirely sure I did a 17 slide deck thingy. I'm not sure I did up to 5. The rest of it was just stories. And it was stories, not just, it was stories to drive home the point in a way that I'm not sure any of the slides I slaved on overnight, would have done. So it's that ability to communicate, to connect. It's not communicate, but that ability to connect is something that AI cannot do. You can type in, I have a problem employee, what shall I do? And it will give you options. But it is you that has lived through the human experience that will really be able to, drive whatever improvements you need to home. as much as you can, or as much as the person will be willing to. And it is also you that be able to recognize that maybe we should let this person move on to something else. So that was the only thing I was going to add.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else want to add to the conversation? Michelle?
Yes, I think Mary and Ms. Ngozi already mentioned what I was going to say, because as having the performance rate of 50-50 should be more on the leadership and soft skills area, because there you're able to know people that have empathy, people that can be leaders, people that people are also willing to follow through with, because you can see someone performing at their best. However, when it comes to managing a team and making the people in that team understand his own objectives to deliver, it becomes very hard. And then it doesn't mean that the team is failing, just means that the head is the root cause of the problem. So having someone that can be assessed more on their soft skills and ability to lead is very key. So I think it's the same thing. I mean, that is what I believe every company should do.
Amazing. Thank you very much. We are out of time, but I want us to just go round and get some final words from all the speakers. So we'll go in this order. Michelle will go first. Mr. Ayola, Ms. Ongazi, Mary, and Mr. Angela. So something that you want everyone to take away with them as we leave this conversation.
Okay, so I will go first to say performance is not a thing of the HR department. It's more of a thing of everybody. And the better we take responsibility in terms of being agile and supporting teams, the better for the HR department to be able to come up with initiatives and execute them for better profitability for the business. So everyone has their own parts to play, and even the employees too, they also have their own part to play in terms of being responsible enough to be accountable on what is expected of them. So performance starts with everybody and ends with everybody.
Thank you.
I think my parting shots will be that as a people and as an organization, organizations that will survive and going into the future are not those that have the most sophisticated system, but those who have built a culture, a performance culture that allows for accountability and consistency. A place that allows you people to make honest mistakes, and ultimately encourage people to keep abreast of how the business runs. Because that's part of the challenge in HR. We're not able to speak the business language, not because we do not know, or not because we're not able to, but because we don't know much how the business makes money. So it's very fundamental. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, something I would like people to take away. I think it will just be what so many of us have said in so many ways, even the previous panel, which is AI is here to assist, augment, support. In some cases, direct you to things, direct sort of like your thinking pattern. It's not here to replace, it's not here to erase, So it should be a collaboration and not a thing of fear. I mean, at my age and stage, if I'm telling you this, then you better believe that that is what it is. And honestly, it's so much fun probing the frontiers. So much fun. So don't be afraid of it. Embrace it. Work with it. You'll be shocked at what you'll be able to achieve. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Mary?
Okay, I think we've said it all. I'll just say a reminder, and if we have managers on this call as well, that visibility should not be mistaken for value creation. We should focus on results. Leave the whole, the whole drama that goes on with it. Let's focus on what people are able to achieve and how they're able to achieve it and the quality of that achievement, as opposed to basically the attention that someone is able to bring to the table. So basically, shifting from visibility to those who are truly creating value. I think that's what I would say. Thank you.
Then shifting from visibility to actually creating value. Beautiful. Ms. Angela?
One of the things I like about being last, I have so many takeouts or so many, but I do like that we are all in the spirit because one of the speaker, I think is Miss Iggy, she just mentioned what I wanted to say, and I had to think fast what next, because I want to say, like, let's not be afraid of the future, and change is here to stay. It's the only thing that is constant. So we need to adapt quickly. But I'll also add one thing, that AI still needs human intelligence to interpret. So yes, we just have to deal with it and know that we need to upskill ourselves to now be able also to interpret the data or the AI to that level of intelligence as well. So back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Can we just take some time to appreciate this beautiful panel? Thank you to all our panelists. We are so grateful for, making out the time and just pouring your experiences and your knowledge into us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We also want to do something special as we gradually bring this conference to a close. I wanted to take out time to appreciate all the speakers that have been with us since we started this conference, right? And I know that some of them joined. So this is like the third or fourth edition that we're having. And we've had people that have, joined us from the first to the second to the third. I want to just acknowledge all of them. Some of them are here, Mr. Roland, Valerie, Pemipo, Mr. Robinson, Nina, Mr. Emmanuel, Lauren, Benga, Dr. Momi, Ms. Lillian, Francisca, Dr. Mojisola, Ayokunle, Ejiro, and Izini. Thank you so much. And if you're here, I would like to just hear from you. We've said a lot, and you guys are, veterans in HR. If there's anything you'd like to contribute, I'll be very happy to have you share with us very briefly. So we said a lot. Is there something that you want to add to this conversation as we bring it to a nice close? Please, if you want to say something, you can just raise up your hand and I'll unmute you. Okay, let me unmute. Okay. Dr. Moner, please go ahead.
Well, hi again. I have really witnessed the whole conversation with the two panels, really with extreme passion and honestly, we should be really, really proud. I know this is diversified, this is worldwide, but honestly, I take this opportunity really, to praise, our continent, Africa, because basically the consciousness, that I have seen today, the evolution, the mindset, of the HR. Really, we should really, clap ourselves, for what we have reached so far, and we should really be proud of yourself. Yeah, we're Africans, and we really have to be proud of that, and we really have to be proud, really, of being part and integral part of this huge evolution. Now, just one thing which is very important that I want to add, in a very simple way. Our employees need to be feel heard and to be feel valued and to be respected, and that could not be done by an AI. They need really to have a human interaction. This is something that's very, very important. Something, that was really intriguing, today is the master important, PhD important, and so on. I will, in my own simple opinion, HR foundation is very important. Like it's the HR, yeah, learn, get the theoretical knowledge, but more importantly, you take profit from that theory to grab an experience. Experience is more important. However, the fusion, will make you top notch. And third, more important part right now, as far as our AI is really the technical evolution is our topic, we have experience, we have theory, but the big question is, did we learn the AI techniques, so that we as HR could really understand how could we take profit? My own simple opinion, let's learn. Learning process is always continuous and get the experience, the proper experience, and gain more evolution, related to the AI realm. Because with the three elements, with the three tools, I really believe, you're going to be a top-notch HR. Thank you so much for being part of this successful, wonderful, amazing WeInHR conference. And looking forward basically to get, new connects, new invites. I'm really proud to be part of the conference.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marner. Does anybody else want to, contribute? I'll be very happy to take like one or two people. Anybody else? Anyone? Okay. Okay, I'm seeing all the reactions. Thank you so much. So how was this conference for you? I would like to hear from maybe two persons. If you'd like me to ask you to unmute. Okay, I think I just saw someone ask. Aaron, do you want me to unmute you? I want to get feedback. Was this insightful? What are some of the key takeaways for you as well? Anyone? If you'd like to share, please just raise up your hand. I would be very happy to help unmute you. And of course, feel free to use the chat box as well if you want. Okay, I can see Dr. Mojisola. All right, please go ahead, ma'am. She's one of our past speakers, so thank you for being here. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much for this. For me, this has really, really been enriching and very, very enlightening. I love knowledge, and this has contributed so much to what I wish to learn. But one thing stands out for me is that as HR professional, we should not be myopic in our growth. We should begin to explore other facets, other disciplines, because as it stands right now, apart from the human element, a lot of scientific part of HR or technical part of HR are being automated right now. So I think having a robust understanding of other parts and other bits of the work will make us versatile and better professionals. Thank you so much, WeInHR. God bless you. And thanks to all the panelists. You've been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for, joining us again today. I really appreciate it. So Amina, please go ahead.
Okay, with my Zoom. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you so much. This was not a brainer for me because I've joined the last session, so I knew the knowledge that was going to be shared, and I know the caliber of people that you bring on board. So thank you so much for always hosting this year in, year out. This has been very insightful for me, especially with the performance management part of the aspect, and of course AI as well. Everybody's AI conscious now. The ethical part, the bias part. All of that are things that we need to chew on. I think the part that stood out for me was where Bisola spoke about the energy that AI uses to produce all these items or things that we ask it, that we actually really need to think about it. If this is something that you know that you don't need to ask AI, can you not ask AI? For us not totally dependent on it, I think it's very important because sometimes you get so comfortable, and it's that part where you tell AI to do something for you and it gives you options and you continue to follow that options and you're getting like, oh, wow, I can do this, I can do that. I think, yeah, that consciousness is very, very important so that we're sure that we're getting the right ideas that we need from it. So thank you. Very insightful, enlightening. And as HR, we have to continue to learn. Like, it's very, very important. So thank you for the platform.
Thank you very much. And I'm so happy that you're here with us again. Thank you for always being a part of this conference. Mary, please go ahead.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Thank you so much. It was a no-brainer. This is my second attendance to the WeInHR. I attended last year and I was already like looking out for the next conference announcement. So I'm really glad that I'm here today, and so much to take away from the two panel sessions. I think the key thing is that we shouldn't be afraid of HR. We cannot overemphasize the humanness of what we do as HR professionals. I think another key thing is really a level of discernment that automation cannot ever replace in terms of strategic decision making. And that is the value that we bring to the organizations, irrespective of the sectors that we work in. Using effectively AI as a tool, not as a person that delivers the work. I think that's very key. We shouldn't also over rely on AI to the point whereby we are afraid to think and make mistakes. I think that's the area where people sort of have mixed feelings or get it wrong. So thank you very much to the panelists. Thank you so much for convening this conference. Well done, and I look forward to the 2027 conference. Thank you, and well done to everyone who stayed on to this time for sacrificing your weekend. I hope you learned a lot and will be able to apply it in your respective roles. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary, and I'm so happy that you're here with us again. Thank you for always making our time, and thanks for the beautiful feedback. All right. This has been so beautiful, and I'm so happy that, we found this valuable. I just want to, repeat certain things that were shared earlier. Abby has been so generous to host a conference webinar for all of us that are on the call, and it's completely free. So let's not, stop this conversation here. I've posted the link again in the chat. Register. Let's keep having these conversations. I think the more we talk about it, the more we are able to even learn more and see ways that we can, further integrate AI into the things that we do. I have to bring this conference to a wrap. We're meant to close by 2:30. I think we're doing quite good. It's 2:19. Okay, so I want to just say a big thank you to everybody once again for being a part of this year's conference. And I want to thank all our speakers. I'm sure you can already tell these are people that are very generous, and we reached out to them and they were so quick to say yes. And it's not every day that you see people at this level being willing to just share and pour into us. So from the depth of my heart, a big thank you to all our speakers, our keynote speaker, all the panelists. Was so grateful. And also to you, the participants that made it possible, that made today possible. I truly believe that today was more than just a conference. I kept typing in my notepad here because there's a lot for me to go back to chew on. And I believe that this was really a gathering of people. And I think it's so evident, people who really care deeply about the future of work, the future of leadership, the future of HR, the future of people. And across all the sessions that we had, all the conversations that we had, one thing has become very clear to me, and I hope to all of us on the call, that HR is not longer, about operations or operating from the sidelines. We are now helping to shape the future of companies and the future of work in real time. We talked about AI, we talked about performance, we talked about, leadership, employee experience, all these beautiful things. But beyond all of that and all the discussions that we had, I think for me, the most important takeaway from this discussion is that the future of work is not going to be built by technology alone. And I think we heard a lot of people talk about that as well. I think Bisola spoke to that, and some of our panelists as well. It will be built by people, and HR professionals need to be courageous enough to be a part of those discussions. And we need to be courageous enough to lead through the changes that would even come as a result of it. So as we leave this conference today, I just want to encourage everyone not to allow today just end. Many times we're always very high on new information, right? But I just hope that as we leave today, we leave with a lot of, clarity on things that we want to do going forward. I hope that this is also going to serve as some sort of catalyst for action. A catalyst to be better leaders, a catalyst to, build better workplaces, to build better systems, and even more human-centered organizations. That was one thing that came out of today's conversation as well. So to everyone that has joined from different countries, I think we had India for the first time today. Thank you so much, those that joined from different industries, different backgrounds. Thank you for lending your voice to this conversation. Thank you for your perspective and just your energy to the discussion. And to all my HR people in the room, I just want to remind you again that the work that you do matters now more than ever before. Companies may be investing in technology and, heavy budgets in AI strategy, blah, blah, blah. But the truth is that it is people who eventually determine whether the business is succeed or fail. So I want to just, leave you with that sense of purpose that the work that you do is not trivial at all. It really matters. And I hope that you leave today with new ideas. And please feel free to connect with each other in the chat box. I mean, if you know someone that is here, say hello. If there's any of the speakers I even want to connect with, we've dropped all the links to their handles in the chat box. Thank you once again for being a part of this conference. And I wish you all a very beautiful rest of the year. And thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. See you at the next conference. We're definitely going to have another one this year. I know someone said 2027, but we're going to have another one this year, and we would keep you posted via email and on any other platform that you follow us on. Thank you very much. And
bye. Thank you. We love you.
Love you too. Bye.
When the ground feels like it's shaking under your feet, and the answers you need feel out of reach, there's a shelter you can run into, a quiet place where love pulls you through. In the chaos, in the strain, there's a peace that will remain. God is our refuge and strength, closer than the air we breathe. In every trouble He remains, a steady place to lean. Through Jesus we stand secure, in His love we will endure. God is our refuge and strength, forever our safe place. When the storm clouds gather in your mind and the road ahead is hard to find, there's a hand reaching out to you, strong enough to carry you through. When you're weak, He is strong. You've been held there